Chapter 1877. Alright, that's what I want to emphasize. Everyone, rest up and conserve your energy, said Yishan. Swadong led the others out of Night Sorrow's tent. It seems that the captain has a plan. Although the mission is dangerous, we still have a chance, Swadong said. The captain changed his plan just now. If it weren't for Tianyu's persuasion, we might have become spectators, Bai Lingling said. She knew that Night Sorrow's original plan was to act alone. The sergeants of the First Army didn't know what was going on after camping for 2 days. In the past, the time of camping was fixed. But now, it was abnormal that they hadn't moved for 2 days. Night Sorrow also disappeared, but there was a pagoda next to the big tent. At this time, Night Sorrow's original body and 2 doppelgangers were trying their best to integrate the domain. He didn't set off immediately because he wanted to integrate the death attribute domain into his main domain. The First Army obeyed all orders. Night Sorrow didn't show up. No matter how many doubts they had, no one asked. On the 4th day, Night Sorrow appeared. After cultivating for more than half a year in the time-accelerated environment, Night Sorrow had reached the final stage of integrating the domain. The domain of 2 supreme attributes and 3 advanced attributes was formed. With the help of the power of merit, it was a level 6 domain. Seeing Night Sorrow, the squad of the First Army gathered quickly. Now, release your doppelgangers. Leave your doppelgangers and gather your original bodies over there. Night Sorrow pointed at the Hautian pagoda next to the big tent. Everyone did as he said. 29 doppelgangers stayed behind and gathered their original bodies beside the Hautian pagoda. Night Sorrow's soul power shrouded everyone and sent their original bodies into the Hautian pagoda. Night Sorrow's soul power shrouded and vibrated. Soon, a group of people disappeared from the transmigration battlefield. However, there was still one person standing there. It was Flower Without Words. Looking at Flower Without Words, Night Sorrow's body flashed and appeared in front of Flower Without Words. He then slapped Flower Without Words, but his palm stopped right beside Flower Without Words' head. Night Sorrow looked at Flower Without Words and said, "In a battle of life and death, a single lapse in concentration could cost you your life. You deserve this slap. However, everyone has their own choices, and you have the right to be responsible for your own life." I was distracted. It's not that I don't trust Captain. I was just thinking about how pretty Bai Lingling is, and now you're pulling me into that pagoda. Flower Without Words hurriedly explained after hearing Night Sorrow's words. As soon as Flower Without Words finished his words, Night Sorrow's slap landed on his head. Then, Flower Without Words' original body disappeared from everyone's sight. Night Sorrow turned around and took a step forward, arriving in front of the 29 doppelgangers. Distracted? Distracted? You deserve a slap. I don't care what you're thinking, whether it's a problem with your lower body or not. Remember one thing. Remember what I said. Remember it in your heart. Flower Without Words lowered his head and rubbed it. His original body was hit, and his doppelgangers felt the same. Next, we'll send our doppelgangers out to battle. If there's a need, our original body will come out. Just now, I was very satisfied. Other than one simple-minded person, everyone has absolute trust in me. In the past 4 days, I've been busy cultivating. I'm sorry, but this is selfish. I want to increase my strength. This will increase my chances of returning alive to see my wife and children. It will also increase the chances of bringing my brothers and sisters back alive. Night Sorrow explained what he had been doing for the past 4 days. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Zhuodong and the others cupped their fists. At the same time, they were shocked because they couldn't see through Night Sorrow's strength. If Night Sorrow had used his killing move, Flower Without Words would not have been slapped just now. If they were in Night Sorrow's position, Zhuodong and the others knew that they wouldn't be able to defend against him. After arranging for everyone to clean up the camp, Night Sorrow continued to lead them forward. Although they knew that the road ahead was very dangerous, everyone was very confident in Night Sorrow. Flower Without Words, you like me, don't you? And you think with your lower body? Bai Lingling, who was walking next to Flower Without Words, put her hand on Flower Without Words' arm. Flower Without Words' expression changed. He grimaced and said, "I don't think with my lower body. I don't have any experience in this field. Everyone else does, and I won't be like this." Latest chapter, excerpt, BMC. Everyone looked at Hua Wuyan, including Night Sorrow. This was because Hua Wuyan had opened his mouth and bombarded everyone with his cannon. It was an indiscriminate attack. Night Sorrow was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. Since Flower Without Words said that he didn't have any experience in this field, it meant that Night Sorrow had experience in this field. Flower Without Words, are you trying to hurt each other? Alright, then let's talk about our leader. How many wives does he have? But they are all upright and upright. They marry whoever they like. None of them are as dirty as you, Long Jean said. Ah. No, Long Jean, you're not human. Flower Without Words shouted as Bai Lingling tightened her grip on his arm. I'm the Golden Dragon. I really don't care if you say that I'm not human, Long Jean said. I curse you to marry a female T-Rex in the future. Flower Without Words started cursing. You don't know yet, right? Because he fell in love with a human and couldn't marry her, he became the Golden Dragon King. That's also my uncle's regret. That's why he spent so much effort to research a heaven-defying technique, the Dragon Man technique. Those who cultivate the Dragon Man technique can marry other races. His regret won't happen to me. I can freely switch between dragon and human forms, Long Jean laughed loudly. Lingling, I was wrong. Everyone has a yearning for beautiful things. Can't you just think about it? Flower Without Words could tell that no one would support him. After glaring at Flower Without Words, Bai Lingling released her grip on Flower Without Words. Why can't the 100 races marry each other? Isn't happiness the most important thing? Night Sorrow didn't quite understand. That's not entirely the case. The major races only value the direct bloodline and those who are close to the direct bloodline. As for the unimportant side branches, no one cares. However, those who cultivate their true bodies won't have the chance to do so, Long Jean said. So you and Tianyu can't do it? Night Sorrow asked. I'm an exception. Other than the Dragon Man technique, I'm the only descendant of the Golden Dragon race. After my uncle sealed my memories, he threw me into the chaotic realm. Due to the effects of traveling through time and space, I spent my time in confusion before becoming a venerable. I could transform after becoming a venerable, but because I was confused and had no memories, I gave up on my dragon form and chose to cultivate the human form of the leader of the 100 spirits. When I return to the clan, I will cultivate to the Emperor realm and cultivate the Dragon Man art. Only then will I be able to switch between the Golden Dragon and the human body. There are some restrictions that don't apply to me. I can marry whoever I want. It seems like the Golden Dragon race will be ruined by your hands. White Meng Meng looked at Long Jean and said. That won't happen. I can marry whoever I want, but the prerequisite is that I have to choose a princess from the other dragons and continue the bloodline of the Golden Dragon race, Long Jean said. Long Jean, we're brothers. Can the Green Rock race cultivate the Dragon Man technique? If they can't, can they use your Dragon Man technique to cultivate the Green Rock technique? Otherwise, I won't have any hope in this life. I don't dare to say that I like someone either. It's too depressing. Tianyu looked at Long Jean and said. Chapter 1878. You don't have to worry about that. Tianyu shook his head. He didn't want to talk about it. How can you not care? By the time you solve the problem, she will have become your wife. By then, it will be too late. You have to make arrangements first. Long Jean was a little worried for Tianyu. Impossible. She doesn't like normal people. Besides, I accidentally let it slip last time. She should have felt it, Tianyu said. Then, no matter how Long Jean dug, no matter how Night Sorrow asked, Tianyu didn't say anything. Yi Shang was puzzled. The girl that Tianyu liked must be someone that he and Long Jean knew. Otherwise, there was nothing that Tianyu couldn't say. A girl that both he and Long Jin knew. He looked at Long Jin but didn't find anything. Captain, during the time you weren't with us, all we did was cultivate. We didn't have any contact with outsiders. Long Jin knew what Night Sorrow wanted to ask. There are only a few single women that we know. None of them have the possibility of starting a family, so there's nothing to worry about. When we go back, we'll slowly dig deeper. It's impossible that we won't be able to find one. Tianyu, you've finally grown up. Brother Shirsan is happy. In the future, I'll be the godfather of your son or daughter. No, definitely not. Tianyu blushed and shook his head. Night Sorrow stopped and looked at Tianyu. I didn't expect you to be so ruthless. Yi Shang came to a realization. No one mentioned this again. The group continued forward. Night Sorrow didn't use Bai Lingling and Zhongjiao as scouts. His doppelgangers were scouting ahead. There were dragon-headed and snake-headed people, so they avoided them directly. There was not a single battle in the day. After setting up camp, Tianyu started a fire. He took out the prepared barbecued meat. There was no battle today, so there was no prey. He could only use the prepared food and wine. While drinking, Bai Lingling and Zhongjiao reflected on their actions. F update L knew best, P up -2Y. This was because they felt that their scouts weren't good enough. When the two of them were scouting ahead, they often had to fight. On the other hand, Night Sorrow didn't fight a single battle after advancing for a day. Although there were detours, the distance they advanced was much greater than the previous few days. Naturally, there wasn't a single battle. Every cultivator is good at different things. You guys aren't able to hide your auras well. If an emperor rank or soul power surpasses yours, they will naturally discover you guys first. This isn't your fault. When we return, I will teach you how to strengthen this point. Night Sorrow said. Bai Lingling and Zhongjiao nodded, they understood this point. When they were not fighting, Night Sorrow's body did not emit any energy. His aura was just like an ordinary person's, and his energy was perfectly restrained. Night Sorrow's leakless true body was an absolute art. It was a trump card for cultivators of the primal chaos realm to overcome the ninth order tribulation of wind and fire. Celestial realm cultivators all had their own methods to overcome the ninth order tribulation of wind and fire, but none were as heaven-defying as the leakless true body. Lin Piaomiao's doppelganger went to the 9-domain world to ask about the situation. Night Sorrow's 9-domain world doppelganger asked her to help find information about the void purple light snake. If the dragon-headed man was afraid, it meant that the void purple light snake was very powerful. Therefore, they had to understand it. Lin Piaomiao couldn't find anything in the Misty Empire's library, so she went to the desolate city to find 7th Elder. She was now the successor of Discipline Elder, so she didn't need to distance herself from Lu Qi. At Lu Qi's residence, Night Sorrow saw the Grand Elder and Lu Qi discussing something. From the 9-domain world? Grand Elder looked at Lin Piaomiao and asked. Yes, Night Sorrow now has a target. Although he can't be sure it's the place where the Emperor died, I trust his judgment. He asked me to find information about the void purple light snake. I didn't find anything, so I planned to ask 7th Elder. Lin Piaomiao said. Void purple light snake. Did they encounter it? How much damage did the team suffer? Grand Elder stood up, his face full of shock. They didn't encounter it, but there will be one at the target location. Besides, the team didn't suffer any injuries or losses, Lin Piaomiao said. However, from the Grand Elder's expression and the analysis of the Grand Elder's words, she knew that the void purple light snake was very powerful. Piaomiao, sit down. Let me tell you, then you can inform Night Sorrow. Grand Elder waved his hand at Lin Piaomiao. With the Grand Elder's explanation, Lin Piaomiao understood why the Grand Elder was so shocked. The void purple light snake was very domineering. It was a void creature with the void sovereign attribute. It could travel through the void at an extremely fast speed. In addition, its body was very small, so it was very difficult to hit it or block it outside the defense. If it couldn't be blocked, the consequences would be severe. The void purple light snake could devour all energy to strengthen itself. Unsolvable? Hearing the Grand Elder's explanation, Lin Piaomiao was a little anxious. It's very difficult to solve. Even if there is a defensive treasure, it will be pierced through by the void purple light snake. The void violet light snake's body is small, but its attack power is strong. If it attacks from a single point, it can break through a single point. All defenses won't be able to last for long. After saying this, the Great Elder fell into deep thought. This was a crisis for Night Sorrow. After thinking for a while, Grand Elder stood up. Piaomiao, go and tell Night Sorrow to stop moving forward and not act rashly. I'll go and find the city lord and King Yawu to see if there's a solution. After hearing the news from Lin Piaomiao, Night Sorrow thought for a while and shook his head. We can't wait. It's a waste of time and it's easy for problems to arise. It's easy for the demon-winged race to take the initiative. Night Sorrow shook his head. If we can't solve it, then can the demon-winged race solve it? Lin Piaomiao asked. I haven't said what I'm most worried about. It's Mo Tianji. Her body is suppressed in the 9-domain world, but she has been trying to take it back. That means she's a spiritual existence. What if the demon-winged race gives up an emperor and allows her to take over his body? If she enters the reincarnation battlefield, she'll have an advantage over everyone. I have to consider this. This is also the reason why I've been in a hurry to perfect my domain. I'm preparing to compete with her. Night Sorrow said. After hearing Night Sorrow's analysis, Lin Piaomiao's expression changed. It was completely possible. Although I don't want to face danger, as the merit emperor of the human race, there are some responsibilities that I have to bear. Night Sorrow said. He had already made his decision. Lin Piaomiao bit her lips and didn't say anything. Since Night Sorrow had made his decision, she could only support it. Tell the Grand Elder that since I'm the leader this time, I'll be in charge of the operation. Night Sorrow said to Lin Piaomiao. In the reincarnation battlefield, Night Sorrow looked at the group behind him and said, Broken Mountain is very dangerous. The Grand Elder asked us to stop moving forward, but I don't want to do that. According to my estimation, if we stop moving forward, we'll lose the initiative. If we lose the initiative, this mission will fail. But I respect everyone's decision. No matter what, I, Night Sorrow, will bear the responsibility. We, the First Army, only take orders from the leader. As for the Council of Elders, it's none of our business. If there's any punishment, we'll bear it together with the leader. Sua Dong said. Okay, let's continue. As long as we're determined, there's nothing we can't bear. Night Sorrow smiled. The First Army didn't let him down. Lin Piaomiao returned to the desolate city and went to the Grand Elder's small space. She saw that the desolate city's city lord and King Yawu were both there. Chapter 1879. That's courage. His analysis makes sense. It's very possible, said King Yawu. It's because I'm getting more and more timid. If the demon wing race really gets the upper hand, I'll be a sinner. How do we deal with the void purple light snake? We need to find a way quickly. Otherwise, those children will be in danger. Night Sorrow is the only virtuous emperor of the human race. He's about to become the virtuous emperor. We can't make any mistakes, said the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder said the key to the problem. The void purple light snake is domineering. It can devour energy, but can it devour virtuous energy? I don't think it'll be easy. The power of merit is bestowed by the way of the heavens. Those who don't have a body of merit can't have it, nor can they use it. The void purple light snake is overbearing, but it can't be above the rules, said King Yawu. That's true. Even if the void purple light snake can break through the virtuous energy, it won't be that easy. It will buy him some time. But Elder Lin, you have to tell Night Sorrow to be careful, said the city lord to Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao nodded and left the small space world of the Grand Elder. She told Night Sorrow about King Yewu and the city lord's suggestion. Yishang hadn't expected that the city lord and King Yewu would think so highly of the void purple light snake. But even if he knew how powerful the void purple light snake was, Yishang had to keep going. Night Sorrow also had some confidence. His territory had leveled up. It was a level 5 ultimate territory. With the help of the virtuous energy, his territory was very powerful. Within the territory, Night Sorrow had an absolute advantage. Why did he say it was an ultimate territory? Because Night Sorrow felt that with 2 ultimate attributes and 3 advanced attributes, there wouldn't be any combination of attributes that could be stronger than this. As for the life energy in his body, Night Sorrow planned to cultivate it when he had time. He couldn't touch the forbidden energy. He could cultivate it, but he didn't need to fuse it. Bai Lingling and Zhongjiao were not the only ones who admired Night Sorrow's ability to explore the way forward. Not only was there no battle on the first day, the second day was the same. There was no battle at all. This showed that Night Sorrow's reconnaissance skills were at the pinnacle of perfection. Captain, can you tell me what you're not good at? You're good at speed, and your strength is more ferocious than several of our divine beast clans. Not to mention your soul power, you could kill the dragon-headed man in one move. Your ability to investigate the enemy's situation is also unparalleled, Bai Lingling said. It's not as exaggerated as you say, Night Sorrow said with a smile. That's amazing. Captain, when you enter the Emperor realm, few people will be your match except for the older generation of cultivators, Swadong said. He was really happy because he was a human. Night Sorrow smiled. He took Bai Lingling's map and analyzed it. He realized that there really was a deviation. The distance between the reference points on the map was wrong. Captain, is there a problem with the map? The dragon-headed man's memory can't be fake, so can Lingling's drawing, Bai Lingling said. It's not your drawing or the dragon-headed man's memory. It's because too much time has passed and the geological situation has changed. It's different from the dragon-headed man's memory. The Broken Sky Mountain is very close to the Demon Mountain. It's unrealistic to completely avoid the dragon-headed man and the snake-headed man. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said. So it's very risky? Swadong looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Yes. We don't know what the ancestors of the dragon-headed man and the snake-headed man are. They might be peak emperors, or cultivators of the 9 emperors' tribulation of the heavenly Tao. They might even be cultivators of the emperor's tribulation. We'll be doomed if we encounter them, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Captain, don't scare us. It's too scary. Flower without words said. I'm not scaring you. You can't do anything without careful thinking. Once you think about it carefully, you'll find a problem. How long has the reincarnation battlefield been? 8 eras. 8 eras is enough for an outstanding cultivator to grow into a world-defying giant. We're not even emperors. They can crush us with their little finger. Night Sorrow looked at Flower without words and said. Dodge. We have to dodge. Otherwise, we'll be doomed. White Meng Meng said. Don't I want to dodge? I'm scared too. If we can avoid the battle, we should avoid it. It's better to sneak in. As long as there's a battle, there will be a large amount of energy fluctuation. It's easy to be discovered, Night Sorrow exhaled and said. Captain, you're really brave. How can you not be nervous in such a dangerous situation? Captain, let me tell you, Meng Meng and I are not married yet. If we were to be tormented to death like this, we wouldn't be satisfied, Bai Lingling said. We have a lot of brothers in the First Army. Tell me which one you like. I can help you at any time. Then you won't have any regrets, Night Sorrow said as he took out a jar of wine and drank it. The feelings are with the captain. Is this how you solve your regrets? I'm convinced. Bai Lingling stopped talking. Simple and violent is the most effective. I'm just kidding. I'll think of a way to be as careful as possible, Night Sorrow nodded at Bai Lingling. The leader of the Black Dragons this time was the Black Dragon's Gong Zibai. Gong Zibai's strength was not bad. However, his position in the Black Dragons was very low because he was a hybrid. Gong Zibai's mother was a side branch of the Black Dragons. Therefore, she was less restricted. In addition, she was more lascivious. Therefore, Gong Zibai was born. As for who his father was, his mother didn't know. Only the heavens knew. Among the dragons, powerful descendants were known as the Prince of Dragons. Those with higher bloodlines were known as the Little Marquis of the Dragons. However, Gong Zibai was different. His father's identity was unknown. He followed his mother's surname. Even if he cultivated to the peak of the Emperor realm, he could only be called Gong Zibai in the Black Dragons. Gong Zibai led the Black Dragons and the Flying Serpents. They followed a dragon-headed man and advanced towards Broken Mountain. First Mo Tianji also found the reference point of the reincarnation battlefield in her memories. She also began to advance towards Broken Mountain. It could be said that all three factions had a clear goal. Knight Sorrow's clone was scouting the path. It was the leakless true body that activated the 9-region origin pearl to assist the soul power scouting. Knight Sorrow's soul power was much stronger than ordinary cultivators. It was at least 1/3 stronger. This was because his divine ocean's capacity was larger than cultivators of the same level. With the 9-region origin pearl's assistance, he was already at the Emperor realm. Originally, the 9-region origin pearl was carried by Knight Sorrow's original body. His clone was protected by the Green Lotus Jade Bracelet. Because the clone needed soul power to scout the path, Knight Sorrow made a switch. Chapter 1880. Knight Sorrow was very careful because it was too risky. It would be troublesome if they attracted those invincible masters. After walking for half a day, Knight Sorrow's original body stopped. "Captain, what's wrong?" Dong asked. "We have to fight now. The road ahead is blocked without any gaps. There are groups of dragon-headed monsters and snake-headed monsters," Knight Sorrow said with a wry smile. "Hurry up and take us there." "Don't be in danger," Tianyu said with Long Jin's wave knife in his hand. "I've checked. The easiest way is blocked by 7 dragon-headed monsters, 4 Emperor level and 3 Emperor level. It's easy to kill them, but we can't make too much noise," Knight Sorrow said. "Captain, you arrange it," Dong said. "Which one of you is good at soul attacks?" "If the negative effects aren't good enough, then it's a violent soul attack," Knight Sorrow asked. "I can. The Golden Dragon clan has a unique soul attack skill, Dragon Spear. If I use it with my doppelganger, the dragon-headed monsters won't be able to resist it," Long Jin said. "Okay, you'll be in charge of one of them." "Who else?" Knight Sorrow asked. "Captain, I can use Soul Shock Wave," a sergeant named Song Qiao said. He was a squad leader in the First Army and his strength was among the best in the First Army. "Good. That's enough. 4 Emperor-level monsters. 3 of us will be in charge of the first attack. The others will be divided into 7 groups. I'll take you there with my space magic treasure. When the 4 of us start to attack, the others will attack. Remember, don't spread your energy. Concentrate your energy in your weapons and kill them directly," Knight Sorrow said. Following Knight Sorrow's order, the squads of the First Army were divided into groups in an instant. Remember, the moment you appear, no matter what type of soul attack you use, even if you don't know how to use a soul attack, use your soul power to attack. Then, gang up on them and use all your weapons. Next, Knight Sorrow kept everyone into the clear sky divine pagoda. Then, he reunited with his clone. At present, the team was close to the Magic Mountain area. Knight Sorrow knew that he must be careful and must control the energy fluctuations generated by the battle. In this case, there would be no sequelae and it would not attract other groups of dragon-headed people. There was no lone dragon-headed person in this area. After Knight Sorrow's main body met up with his clone, the clone carried the Haotian Divine Pagoda and flew. "I'll be in charge of the 2 peak stage King Realm dragon-headed men. As for the remaining 2 mid-level sovereign emperors, the male Long Jin and the female Song Qiao, you'll be in charge. The rest of you will form groups and find your targets and kill them directly. Knight Sorrow's original body in the Hautian Godly Pagoda emphasized the arrangement to the soldiers of the First Army. Captain, according to the map I drew, we are now close to the Demon Mountain, Bai Lingling said. That's right. If we were elsewhere, we would directly attack them violently. These 7 dragon-headed people wouldn't have the qualifications to block our path. However, we can't do it now. We have to deal with them as soon as possible. If they wail and howl, the other dragon-headed people will rush over. Knight Sorrow said the reason why he was really worried. Knight Sorrow's clone restrained his aura and advanced. When he was still 20,000 miles away, he was discovered by this small group of dragon-headed people. Seeing that there was only Knight Sorrow alone, the 7 dragon-headed people rushed towards Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow also sped up and approached. The dragon-headed people didn't roar and didn't toss and turn. This was a good thing. The moment the two sides approached, Knight Sorrow's original body rushed out of the Hautian Divine Pagoda with the First Army's troops. Then, 2 soul-extinguishing slashes slashed towards the 2 peak stage sovereign emperors. After the soul-extinguishing slash was released, Knight Sorrow's original body and clone both used the void steps and rushed towards the 2 peak stage sovereign emperors. Knight Sorrow's soul-extinguishing slash was an absolute art. When the crescent blade of the soul-extinguishing slash collided with the opponent's soul defense energy, the influence of the reincarnation scene was transmitted. When the opponent was affected, Knight Sorrow's crescent blade continuously vibrated and cut into the opponent's spirit sea. Knight Sorrow's original body's reincarnation spear and his clone's blood Chilan evil-slaying spear pierced into the opponent's head. The battle was completed in a flash. Other than the untouchable fluctuation of soul power, no energy fluctuation was triggered. This caused the 2 groups of people who cooperated with Knight Sorrow to be unable to stab the target after their sabers and swords reached. What was the point of stabbing a corpse? When Knight Sorrow turned around, he found that the battle was already over. However, the battle was very brutal. Other than the 2 peak stage sovereign emperors that Knight Sorrow killed, the other 5 dragon-headed men were dismembered because the other soul attacks were not fatal. Long Jin's soul attack, Dragon Spear, could kill his opponent. When his opponent was about to fall, Flower Without Words, who had a relatively fast movement technique, gave him 2 slashes. After the battle was over, Knight Sorrow's soul power swept out and his domain shook. The dragon-headed man's body was completely annihilated. Then, Knight Sorrow's original body's soul power enveloped everyone and entered the Clear Sky Pagoda. A domain was a manifestation of the momentum of heaven and earth. It was the will and the law. It only covered an area and would not cause any energy fluctuation. Swadong, put away these scraps. Although they're not refined well, they're made of good materials. Yi Shang threw the dragon-headed man's weapon to Swadong, which he had deliberately kept. Knight Sorrow's clone carried the Clear Sky Godly Pagoda. After concealing his aura, he continued to move forward. He was still very cautious. This was not a good place. If he was not careful, the consequences would be very serious. Captain, what's the situation now? Swadong asked. It's safe and there are no accidents. Knight Sorrow smiled. His soul power had been paying attention to the area where the battle took place. No other dragon-headed men and snake-headed men were approaching. After a while, Knight Sorrow's original body carried the Clear Sky Godly Pagoda and separated from his clone. It was still dangerous for his clone to explore the way. He could not put all his hopes in one place. Not to mention his own safety, he also had to consider the safety of his brothers in the First Army. Knight Sorrow's original body also transferred these people's clones out of the Clear Sky Godly Pagoda. My clone will explore the way ahead. We will follow behind secretly. If we can kill those who block the way, we will kill them directly. If we can't, we will take a detour. Captain, we killed the 7 dragon-headed men in an instant. Is there anyone we can't kill? White Meng Meng asked. Miss Bai, the 7 dragon-headed people were the smallest group in that area. Just now, on the left and right sides, there was a group of more than 10 dragon-headed people and a group of more than 20 snake-headed people. It's too difficult to kill them silently, Yishan said. I see. But with our captain leading us, it's safe. White Meng Meng nodded with a smile. Night Sorrow's clone constantly corrected the route as there were too many dragon-headed men and snake-headed men blocking the way. Zhuodong and the others knew that Yishang had put in a lot of effort to make White Meng Meng feel safe when she saw him constantly changing his route. Chapter 1881. This section isn't easy to traverse, said Long Jin. It's not easy, but there's a path after we cross it. Perhaps the path behind us is the path for the rise of the 100-Race Alliance, said Night Sorrow. That might be a good thing. It's difficult for us to advance, but do you think it's easy for the Demon-Winged Clan and the Black Dragons? It's difficult for us to advance, but it's fine with Captain leading the way. If they don't have the ability, it might be very difficult for them to advance, said White Meng Meng. Night Sorrow nodded at White Meng Meng. What White Meng Meng said was possible, but the probability was not high. The dragon-headed man had the bloodline of the Demon-Winged Clan. The appearance of the Demon-Winged Clan would affect them. When Long Jin appeared, the dragon-headed man had an innate fear. This was the suppression of the bloodline. Without saying anything, Night Sorrow continued forward. In addition, he tested the strength of the spatial barrier with his domain. He found that he could enter, but the spatial barrier was very strong. Furthermore, the spatial turbulence was very terrifying, even more ruthless than Nirvana Storm. After some estimation, Night Sorrow felt that he could only survive for 15 minutes in the spatial turbulence even if he used the strongest state of his domain. After 15 minutes, the energy in his body would be exhausted. It could be used as an emergency escape method. However, he couldn't use it unless he had no other choice. After using it, he would be at the mercy of others if he had no energy left. As they advanced, battles occurred from time to time. However, Night Sorrow calculated that he would only fight battles when he could control the situation. If he couldn't control the situation, he would have to take a detour even if it meant wasting time. During the detour, Night Sorrow would tell everyone which direction had which level and number of opponents. It's too dangerous, said Flower without words as she patted her chest. This isn't the most dangerous place. The most dangerous place is the Broken Mountain area. You will understand when the time comes. Night Sorrow shook his head. He already understood how terrifying the void purple light snake was. Brother 13, are you talking about the void purple light snake that the dragon-headed man mentioned? Tianyu asked. Yes, it's a terrifying creature. Night Sorrow explained the void purple light snake situation to everyone. Supreme attributes, incredible speed, devouring all forms of energy, and penetrating all defenses with a single point. How are we supposed to fight against such a perverted thing? Aren't we just looking for trouble if we go? Tiger Cold said. Everyone's expression did not look too good. Tiger Cold. The remains of Renhuang are extremely important to the 100 Races Alliance. Even if we die in battle, we have to go. This is the glory of the First Blood Army. The soldiers of the First Blood Army will not cower in battle. After hearing Tiger Cold's words, Zhuodong and the sergeants of the First Army were dissatisfied because it was not the style of the First Army to retreat. Oh, no. Everyone misunderstood. I won't back down. I'm just expressing my shock, Tiger Cold explained. He didn't want others to think that he was afraid of death because of what he said just now. Tiger Cold is not that kind of person. Besides, the captain must have his own ideas. We just need to move forward according to his tactical arrangement, Flower without words explained for Tiger Cold. I don't know if my idea will work or not, but don't worry. I, Night Sorrow, will never cheat others. When we arrive at the Broken Mountain, I'll give it a try. If I can withstand it, we'll take the risk. If not, I'll take you back even if my doppelganger dies, Night Sorrow said. In the past, the First Blood Army's missions were all open battles. This is the first time we've accepted such a difficult mission. According to Captain Tang Kei's character, he can't fight this battle. Fortunately, Captain Knight is here. Otherwise, we would have been annihilated, Swadong said. Let's try our best. If we succeed, we'll be proud of ourselves when we look back one day. Knight Sorrow nodded to Swadong. Originally, we planned to earn some military merits in the First Blood Army and show them off when we return to our family. But we didn't expect that the pressure would be so great. But it's good. The greater the pressure and the greater the difficulty, the more glorious the future will be, Flower Without Words said. Well, we'll set up camp after 10,000 miles. Today, I'll have a drink with my brothers and sisters, Knight Sorrow said. Knight Sorrow knew that the difficulty of this mission had brought pressure to everyone. Although everyone was determined, if they didn't release the pressure, they would feel depressed, which was not good for the morale of the team. When they arrived at the safe place where Knight Sorrow's doppelganger camped, Long Jean and Tianyu took out the wine and meat and put them on the table. Brother, you're well prepared. It doesn't look like a life or death mission at all. It's more like a trip. Tiger Cold sat down next to Long Jean. You can't do it. Just now, your face was like an old woman's. Tianyu and I have carried out many life or death missions with the captain. Every time, we've completed them perfectly. It's no different from a trip. So, we have to be comfortable during the process, Long Jean said. Yes, you can't do it. You haven't seen the world, Tianyu said after drinking a glass of wine. Tianyu, you've only lived for a few hundred years. How can you say that you haven't seen the world with me, a practitioner who has lived for hundreds of millions of years? Bai Lingling looked at Tianyu with dissatisfaction. Yes, I'm talking about you. How many times have you participated in the War of Forces, Realm Wars, and Realm Wars? How many times have you entered the harsh alien space? How many times have you been on the verge of death? Tianyu asked. Bai Lingling pointed at Tianyu but couldn't say anything. Tianyu made it sound like she hadn't experienced it before. We're like flowers in a greenhouse. Tianyu, Long Jean, and the captain are different. Now, Brother 13 can defeat any practitioner of the same level as us. Not just Brother 13, Long Jean can do it, and I, Tianyu, can do it too. So, our lives are wonderful. Of course, after this incident, your lives will be wonderful too, Tianyu said. Although I'm angry looking at your face, I have to say that what you said does make sense, Bai Lingling said. Believe in yourself, believe in the brothers who fight side by side, believe in me, Knight Sorrow. Then, this journey will be a happy one. It will be a journey worth remembering, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Our glorious journey begins when we enter the First Army and fight side by side with the captain. Captain, do you want to accept this glass of wine? Bai Lingling raised the glass in her hand to Knight Sorrow. Of course, why wouldn't I accept it? Knight Sorrow said with a smile. He had achieved his goal of drinking wine. What he wanted was the momentum and the atmosphere. Captain, we're holding you back. But we'll do it until the end, Swadong said. Nonsense. You may not be able to stop the void purple light snakes, but do you expect me to kill the Demon Wing Clan and the Black Dragons? That's your business, haha. Knight Sorrow said with a laugh. Chapter 1882. After resting for a night, Knight Sorrow's doppelganger continued to scout while his main body led the team and maintained a safe distance. Look. Plus square root, chapter, section, NZK, a Knight Sorrow was even mentally prepared for his doppelganger to fall. With the 9-region origin pearl and his doppelganger's divine sea to protect his soul, if his doppelganger fell, he could take his treasures and soul and retreat. If he died in battle, he would lose a doppelganger, but his soul's perfection wouldn't be destroyed. Their advancing speed slowed down because they had to avoid fighting. Fighting under Devil Mountain was unlucky. There were many Emperor-ranked dragon-headed and snake-headed people, and Knight Sorrow had scouted them a few times. This time, when they were advancing, a crisis occurred. Knight Sorrow's biggest crisis after entering Reincarnation Battlefield was discovered by an 8-star Emperor rank, which was a middle-class Emperor rank. Run. Night Sorrow made a decision. Not to mention the huge difference between middle-class emperor and middle-class emperor rank. Once the battle started, other dragon-headed people would appear and it would be a dead end. Holding the blood-Shielan evil punishing spear, Night Sorrow pierced through the spatial barrier and flashed into the spatial turbulence. His left hand flattened the spatial barrier and he flew in the spatial turbulence. His doppelganger avoided battle while Night Sorrow's main body used his soul power to wrap the First Army's soldiers into the clear sky divine pagoda. He then smashed the ground and hid. The main body and the First Army's soldiers weren't too far away from where his doppelganger was discovered, so Night Sorrow had to be careful. The dragon-headed emperor arrived at where Night Sorrow disappeared and looked around. It also smashed the spatial barrier but didn't find anything. Night Sorrow had already flown away. Its soul power had a limited range in the spatial turbulence, so it couldn't find any traces of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow flew in the spatial turbulence for a while before meeting up with the main body and entering the clear sky divine pagoda. Brother 13, what's the situation? Tianyu asked. A middle-class emperor-ranked dragon-headed man discovered me. I can't fight. Let's not talk about how powerful a middle-class emperor is. Once they fight, it will definitely cause a commotion and attract more and more dragon-headed people. When that time comes, we will truly be dead. Night Sorrow said. Middle-class emperor rank, this is a bit too powerful. Bai Lingling said. 13th brother, didn't you kill a few early-stage emperor rank dragon-headed men? Can't you kill mid-stage emperor rank ones? Tianyu asked. If we fight without any hesitation, the outcome will be uncertain. But we can't do that now, Night Sorrow said. Aside from the difference in realm between low and middle-class emperors, the energy contained within their bodies was completely different as well. Night Sorrow could kill a low-class emperor, but against a middle-class emperor, it was hard to say. Every step is dangerous. Flower without words lamented. It would have been impossible for us to complete this task without our captain, Swadong said. Captain, are you sure he's a human? How can a middle-class emperor slip away from a middle-class emperor? Chongjiu asked. Following Chongjiu's words, everyone looked at Night Sorrow. I'm 100% human. When I have time, I'll let you meet my parents, wife, and children. Night Sorrow said speechlessly. Haha. Your parents, wife, and children don't mean anything. Long Jean patted Night Sorrow's shoulder and laughed. This was because divine beasts and demonic beasts could transform. Night Sorrow wanted to explain, but he didn't know how. After thinking for a moment, he took out the Emperor's seal. The Emperor's seal can't be used by other races other than humans, right? I have the human Tao ceremony protecting me. Can other races do it? Night Sorrow used Tao de scripture as he spoke. Human Emperor. Bai Lingling looked at Yishang and muttered softly. With the Emperor's seal and the Merit Emperor, he is a human emperor. Not to mention, he has the human Tao ceremony. Why did he announce this? Swadong looked at Night Sorrow with shock. Just be yourself. Why did he announce it? Everyone has confirmed that I'm a human, right? Night Sorrow said. Yishan had never thought that announcing this would not be a good thing. First, it would bring about some unnecessary danger. The others were also thinking. Night Sorrow had shocked them too much. What did a human emperor mean? He was the leader of the human race. Not to mention strength, he was the most respected human in terms of status. Relaxing for a moment, Night Sorrow left the clear sky godly scout and changed directions. Of course, he had to avoid the area that had just been opened. The middle-class emperor-ranked dragon head man had to be avoided. His doppelganger led the way and found a safe distance. Night Sorrow himself led the team and followed. At this moment, Night Sorrow was very careful. His doppelganger was leading the way with an activated illusion array disc in his hand. It could be said that his body was surrounded by a moving illusion array. After advancing for half a month, while scouting and dodging, Night Sorrow led the group through the Demon Mountain region and began to advance towards Broken Sky Mountain. After leaving the most dangerous area, Night Sorrow felt more at ease. Passing through the Devil Mountain region was like dancing on the tip of a blade. After camping again, Night Sorrow allowed drinking. A few days ago, in order to maintain a high level of vigilance, he banned alcohol. After drinking a mouthful of wine and arranging for guards, Night Sorrow sat cross-legged and thought about this mission. At this moment, Mo Tianji was leading the team towards Broken Mountain from another direction. She was rushing based on her memory. If a dragon head man appeared on the road, she would first release her aura. Then, her white hair would flutter and wrap around the opponent before tearing them apart. Mo Tianji was pushing her way forward. Compared to Night Sorrow, they were two completely different styles. The main point was that the dragon head man and snake head man had an innate fear of her. It came from their bloodline and soul spirit suppression. This was her advantage over Night Sorrow. Black Dragon's Gong Zibai led the team towards Broken Mountain under the lead of a dragon head man. Mo Tianji and Gong Zibai's teams weren't slower than Night Sorrow's team. Of course, they weren't faster than Night Sorrow's team either. Although they had an innate advantage, they still had to avoid Devil Mountain because no one knew what the situation was inside. If Devil Mountain's dragon head and snake head man ancestors were extremely powerful and weren't suppressed by their bloodline, the consequences would be severe. Mo Tianji was also afraid of this. She was now an emperor rank Mo Tianji. She wasn't afraid of low or middle class emperors, but peak emperors and emperors that had passed the 9 heavenly Tao tribulations weren't something she could contend against. Mo Tianji also subdued a dragon head man and asked about Broken Mountain's situation. After knowing that Broken Mountain was a forbidden ground for the dragon head and snake head men, she was relieved. This meant that the battle back then hadn't been touched by the dragon head and snake head men. However, after knowing about the void purple light, Mo Tianji wasn't confident. Night Sorrow didn't know much about the void purple light snake as he had received information from his subordinates. However, Mo Tianji was different. She was a cultivator from the previous reincarnation and knew about the void purple light snake. Chapter 1883. $D. The woman that Mo Tianji had fused with originally had black hair, but her soul had been wiped out by Mo Tianji. After Mo Tianji's soul fused with her body, her black hair was affected by her soul, and her black hair became silver. Her facial features and the proportions of her body changed, and the dignified woman became flirtatious. Mo Tianji's talent was imprinted in her soul. Now that her soul and body had fused, her talent naturally came with her. Mo Tianji was very confident in herself. Back then, even the human emperor's seal couldn't break her white hair. Therefore, she felt that she still had a chance to defend against the void purple light snake. The three parties approached Broken Mountain, the core of the reincarnation battlefield. Through Lin Piamia's message, the Lord of Desolation City, King Yowu, and the Grand Elder also knew that Night Sorrow had passed the first obstacle. After crossing the Demon Mountain, there were dragon-headed people and snake-headed people blocking the way. Night Sorrow didn't avoid fighting. After confirming that there were no groups of dragon-headed and snake-headed people in the surroundings, Night Sorrow would make a move to kill them. The sergeants of the First Army were also wolves. If there was a battle, it would be a quick battle. The closer they got to Broken Mountain, the fewer dragon-headed people and snake-headed people blocking the way. Broken Mountain was a forbidden area in their memories. They wouldn't get close for no reason. This was a relatively safe area. There were no threats from the Demon Mountain and Broken Mountain. In a safe valley, Night Sorrow set up a realm transfer formation. "Captain, you know how to do this?" White Meng Meng looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. "Haha. Except for giving birth, I can do anything," Long Jean said with a smile as he watched Night Sorrow set up the transfer formation disc. After setting the transfer formation crystal on 2 transfer formation discs and putting them in his storage ring, Night Sorrow looked at everyone. "We've completed the mission and need to find a place to cultivate for 2 years. This place is relatively good. First of all, the threat from the Demon Mountain and Broken Mountain doesn't extend to here. The situation in the sky above the valley is also good. The others nodded. Everyone had absolute faith in Night Sorrow. Following this, Night Sorrow led a group of people to quickly advance. Because the danger had decreased, Bai Lingling and Zhongjiu's clones also started to scout ahead in order to make things easier for Night Sorrow. The closer they got to Broken Mountain, the stronger the pull from the human emperor's seal and Night Sorrow's dantian became. "Captain, this is bad. I encountered a void purple light snake." Bai Lingling's expression changed, her eyes filled with fear and shock. "Everyone, stay where you are. Take me there," Yishan shouted at Bai Lingling's true body. With Bai Lingling's true body in front, she flew forward with Night Sorrow. After a few breaths of time, Night Sorrow saw Bai Lingling's clone. At this moment, Bai Lingling's clone was in great pain and there were bloodstains on her chest. As soon as Night Sorrow probed, he discovered the problem. There was a purple light swimming around Bai Lingling's body. Her body had already been damaged to the point where it was riddled with holes. The purple light kept hitting her dantian. "Retreat." Night Sorrow held the human emperor's seal in his left hand and pressed his right hand on Bai Lingling's dantian. The power of merit from the human Tao ceremony entered Bai Lingling's dantian and spread throughout her body. At this moment, the purple light in Bai Lingling's body slowed down and could no longer travel freely. "Bai Lingling, you have to bear with it." Night Sorrow turned his head and glanced at Bai Lingling's true body. Bai Lingling nodded. She was very worried now. Her clone was resisting the void purple light snake with all her strength, but if she couldn't hold on, her clone would be destroyed. Using the power of merit to suppress it, Night Sorrow noticed that the purple light had reached below Bai Lingling's chest. "Come out." Night Sorrow retracted his right hand from Bai Lingling's dantian and pierced his index and middle fingers into Bai Lingling's body. He then pinched the purple light and withdrew his arm. At this moment, there was a purple light dancing in the middle of Night Sorrow's fingers. It was a purple snake that was only as thick as a chopstick. Night Sorrow's domain appeared on his right hand. The level 6 domain supported by the power of merit suppressed the void purple light snake. Then, he clasped his left thumb and index finger and flicked it. With a crisp sound, the void purple light snake's body lay limply on Night Sorrow's right hand. Night Sorrow flicked its head and it fainted. Night Sorrow swung his hand and threw the void purple light snake into the 8-dragon cauldron to suppress it. He had to study it. At this moment, Bai Lingling's clone woke up. The body of a divine beast was tyrannical. After the void purple light snake left her body, her injuries recovered by 70%. Then, she merged with her true body. "Are you okay?" Night Sorrow asked. "The void purple light snake had been in my body for a long time. You touched and pinched me. How can I be okay?" Bai Lingling stared at Night Sorrow. "You are really unreasonable." Night Sorrow's body flashed and rushed to the team led by his true body. "TSK. We've turned danger into safety. We can't even crack a joke," Bai Lingling muttered, then followed Yishan. "Sister Lingling, are you okay?" Bai Mengmeng looked at Bai Lingling and asked. Fortunately, the captain arrived in time. Otherwise, I would have been in trouble. The void purple light snake was too terrifying. I attacked it hundreds of times in an instant, but I couldn't pierce its body. It broke through its protective shield and drilled into its body. It was the captain who pulled it out. Bai Lingling said. "It's really a deadly thing," Bai Mengmeng said. She could imagine the horrible scene. "Everyone, stay where you are. Swadong, arrange for people to be on guard," Night Sorrow ordered. After speaking, Night Sorrow took out the Haotian godly pagoda. His doppelganger carried the cauldron of 8 dragons and entered the level where time was slowed down. Night Sorrow released the void purple light snake. He wanted to test it. However, for safety reasons, he planned to let his doppelganger test it while his true body observed it. At this time, the void purple light snake had woken up. However, it didn't rush around because the Haotian godly pagoda was foggy. It didn't realize that it was in a special space. When it saw Night Sorrow, it rushed toward him. Realm. Night Sorrow released his level 5 realm. Night Sorrow knew that he would encounter more void purple light snakes in the future. Therefore, whether he could defend against them or not was a critical issue. Its speed was reduced by half. Night Sorrow released his level 5 realm to suppress the void purple light snake. The speed of the void purple light snake was reduced by half, but it was still very fast. Blessing of the power of merit. If ordinary realms couldn't do it, Night Sorrow used the power of merit. As the words of the human Tao ceremony flowed in the realm, the void purple light snake slowed down completely. It was like a small snake swimming in water. Seeing that the void purple light snake was suppressed by the power of merit, Night Sorrow was relieved. He then withdrew his realm. He wanted to see if his virtuous immortal body could withstand the void purple light snake. Whoosh! When Yishang retracted his domain, the void purple light snake collided with Yishang's body and made a loud noise. Chapter 1884. The void purple light snake kept hitting Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was in great pain, but he could still bear it. The void purple light snake could not break the defense of his merit's immortal body, so it could not enter his body. After struggling for a while, Night Sorrow released his merit's field and suppressed the void purple light snake. Then, he caught it again and went out of the Hautian godly pagoda. Captain, is that the void purple light snake in your hand? Give it to me. Long Jean asked. You want it? You want it? It's a deadly thing. Night Sorrow smiled. Let's try it. I want to know if I can deal with it. Golden scales appeared on Long Jin's right hand. Then, he grabbed the void purple light snake and took it from Night Sorrow. Without the suppression of the merit energy, the void purple light snake circled around Long Jin's hand and even tried to burrow into his body. The golden scales on Long Jin's right hand were flickering with energy. He was still able to resist the void purple light snake. Captain, hurry up and take it away. I can defend against it, but it eats energy too quickly, Long Jin shouted at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow smiled and grabbed the void purple light snake. Then, he knocked it out and threw it into the space inside the human emperor's seal. Night Sorrow did not dare to use the Hautian godly pagoda and the 8-dragon cauldron to trap the void purple light snake. He was afraid that the void purple light snake would make a hole in his magic treasure. However, the human emperor's seal was full of merit's field, so it could suppress the void purple light snake easily. G-positive version T head G hair, this thing is really terrible. My golden scales can resist it, but it won't last long. Others can't touch it. Long Jin's right hand returned to normal. Up ahead is the area where the void purple light snakes appear. Everyone, set up camp here. I'll go check it out, Yishang said. With the appearance of the void purple light snakes, Yishang naturally couldn't let the team continue taking risks. No, even if we die in battle, we can't let our captain take the risk. Swadong shook his head. The First Army would never abandon their brothers. Swadong, it's not about the number of people. So what if the Demon Wing clan and the Black Dragons have more members? Encountering the Nihility Purple Light Snake was equivalent to courting death. Alright, this matter is settled, the page said. Night Sorrow, other people might not be able to hold on, but I can. That's why I'm going with you. Don't refuse. If you refuse, it means that you don't treat me as a brother. Tianyu, don't say anything. Your defense isn't as good as mine. Long Jin stated his decision. At the same time, he stopped Tianyu from speaking. Looking at Long Jin, Night Sorrow smiled. Sure, but I have a request. What's your request? Tell me. Long Jin was surprised to see Shang agree. You're the only one in our team who can hold off the void purple light snakes for a while. Therefore, your true body should stay behind. If 1 or 2 void purple light snakes appear, you can still kill them and protect the safety of our brothers and sisters. Night Sorrow voiced his thoughts. Since you said so, I won't give you face if I don't agree. Okay. My original body has a space magic treasure. With the help of the void purple light snake, I can protect everyone. Long Jean nodded. Swadong, take our brothers and prepare for the battle. If Long Jean and I succeed, the Demon Wing clan and the Black Dragons will go crazy. When the battle starts, we must fight together, Night Sorrow said. Since there was no way to change the situation, Swadong could only nod. Brother Shirsan, Long Jean, you must come back safely, Tianyu said. Nodding to Tianyu, Night Sorrow and Long Jean set off. Captain, I can't play a big role in the Broken Mountain area. You can deal with the void purple light snakes and other void purple light snakes. I'll help you when it's necessary, Long Jean said to Night Sorrow. Long Jean was a smart man. He knew what was going to happen next. If he acted carelessly, Night Sorrow would have to protect him and he would become a burden. You just need to know that we're invincible when we fight side by side, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Long Jean nodded. Although there was danger at every step, he felt at ease. He had known Night Sorrow for a long time. He knew Night Sorrow's character and believed in Night Sorrow's words. They were invincible when they fought side by side. After a while, the void purple light snakes appeared and rushed toward Night Sorrow and Long Jean. Long Jean, enter my spatial magical treasure. I'll talk to the artifact spirit. You can come and go freely. Night Sorrow released his merit domain and greeted Shao Kong. At the same time, he put the clear sky pagoda on his waist to make it easier for Long Jean to come and go. Long Jean didn't say anything and entered the clear sky pagoda on Night Sorrow's waist in a flash. After the suppression of the domain, Night Sorrow used his reincarnation spear to launch the Void Extreme Kill. As the purple halo burst out, the void purple light snake was annihilated by the void energy. Captain, your domain is too strong. Don't suppress me. I can fight in your domain. Long Jean appeared beside Night Sorrow again. You're right. I didn't think about that. Let's continue. Night Sorrow patted his forehead. Night Sorrow relied on the feeling brought by the human emperor's seal and walked forward in a straight line. If a void purple light snake appeared, he and Long Jean would kill it. The void purple light snake was hard to kill and hard to block. The key was that the void purple light snake could shuttle through the void at an extremely fast speed. Attacks and interceptions would all miss and suppress its speed, but it was not impossible to kill it. Captain, why do you keep collecting their corpses? I understand, you're doing it for the void energy. Seeing that Night Sorrow would instantly collect the corpses and energy of the void purple light snake every time they killed it, Long Jean asked. However, he soon understood. Pure void energy. This is rare, we can't waste it. Night Sorrow said. Then, the two of them continued to move forward. With the suppression of Night Sorrow's domain, it was easy for Long Jean to kill the void purple light snake. When the void purple light snake did not appear, Night Sorrow and Long Jean advanced quickly. In a situation where they did not understand their opponent, the right choice was to speed up. In the other two directions, Mo Tianji had the Demon Wing clan warriors wait for her in the camp while she went to Broken Sky Mountain alone. She was also advancing quickly, but her situation was not as good as Night Sorrow's. She only used her 3,000 feet long white hair to form a net to protect herself. She could not kill the void purple light snake and could only continue to advance. When she used up too much energy, Mo Tianji entered her spatial treasure and shrunk it to the minimum. This way, the void purple light snake's attack would be less effective. The spatial treasure had an artifact spirit and could recover with spiritual stones. Night Sorrow's recovery method was the same as Mo Tianji's. When he used up too much energy, he entered the Haotian godly pagoda to recover. Chapter 1885. Night Sorrow and Mo Tianji advanced quickly, but Gong Zibai encountered difficulties. After encountering the void purple light snake, 2 members of the team were killed. The other members self-destructed to kill the void purple light snake. Under such circumstances, Gong Zibai couldn't advance and could only think of countermeasures. Captain, there are more and more void purple light snakes. This is an opportunity for you. Long Jean said with a smile after killing another 3 void purple light snakes. Not bad. We're not too far away from our goal. Let's take care of business first. Then, we can play however we want, Yishan said. Because of the human emperor's seal, Night Sorrow could determine the direction. Of course, Mo Tianji also had her own methods. She had 2 strands of hair wrapped around her finger. They were the hair of the sleeping demon ancestor. At this moment, the 2 strands of hair were shining and guiding Mo Tianji forward. Mo Tianji felt that if she could get the human emperor's remains, she wouldn't even need to go to the celestial realm to get her body back. Because the human emperor's remains were too important to the human race and the celestial realm, the races of the celestial realm would pressure Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow had no choice but to hand over her body. Even if she wanted Jun Xuanji, the races of the celestial realm would send him over. Night Sorrow and Long Jean advanced quickly. The void purple light snakes they encountered were getting more and more powerful. There were strong and weak void purple light snakes. Realms and strength couldn't be differentiated, only size. The bigger the snake, the more powerful it was. A void purple light snake as thick as a chopstick could hurt an imperial emperor. Night Sorrow estimated that a void purple light snake as thick as a finger would have no problem killing an imperial emperor. Yishan and Long Jean cut through the thistles and thorns as they quickly advanced. Yishan was very clear that no one had succeeded yet because he could still feel the human emperor's seal. If they hurried to the location first, then the mission would be completed. Broken Sky Mountain was the first mountain in the reincarnation battlefield. It was a mountain range that stretched endlessly. The main peak was tens of thousands of feet high. Currently, Night Sorrow and Long Jean were charging towards the main peak. Night Sorrow's main body alternated with his doppelganger to fight. He advanced almost non-stop in order to maximize the efficiency of his advance. Long Jean was worried that Night Sorrow would expend too much energy, so he was the one who killed the void purple light snakes. However, as they went deeper, Night Sorrow had to rest even if he didn't want to. There were too many void purple light snakes, and his energy consumption was relatively high. Captain, if you can control the void purple light snake and release it to Tianhuang, the Demon Wing clan of Tianhuang will be finished, Long Jean said while wielding his blade. This is a special location, a special product. They won't easily leave their original stronghold, Night Sorrow explained. Long Jean nodded. He also understood that before they reached the Broken Sky Mountain, they did not encounter any purple light snakes. In order to maintain his condition, Night Sorrow still rested when he needed to. In any case, the Clear Sky God Pagoda had a 50-fold time acceleration. If he recovered, it would not take much time in the real world. Night Sorrow and Long Jean had already reached the foot of the main peak. Night Sorrow felt that they were getting closer and closer to their goal. Long Jean, if I'm not wrong, we will reach our destination in another hour, Night Sorrow said when they rested again. Captain, can you confirm it? Long Jean asked. Yes, I have the human sovereign's seal. The human sovereign's seal is connected to the human sovereign of the previous reincarnation. Therefore, there has always been a guiding force. The Demon Wing clan's Tianhuang war halberd should also be in that area. As long as we find the human sovereign's remains, finding the Tianhuang war halberd should not be a problem. Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine and threw it to Long Jean. Both of them were exhausted after fighting with the void purple light snakes at such a high intensity. Night Sorrow and Long Jean each drank half a jar of wine, rested for a while, and continued to move forward. The two of them were getting closer and closer to the main peak of the Broken Sky Mountain. When they stood at the top of the main peak of the Broken Sky Mountain, Night Sorrow saw a scene that shocked his heart. A man in white stood there, looking at the sky. His gaze was fixed on one spot. It was a gaze that looked down on the world. It was a gaze that looked down on everything as if it was nothing. There was no life force, no soul. It was just a skeleton standing on the mountain peak. The human sovereign skeleton. Night Sorrow confirmed that it was the human sovereign skeleton because Night Sorrow found that the skeleton was a body of merit. "Captain, is that the skeleton of the human emperor?" Long Jean was also very shocked. A lifeless skeleton gave him a very strong pressure. "Yes, the human sovereign skeleton." Night Sorrow nodded and walked towards the skeleton. When they were still some distance away from the skeleton, an energy halo appeared and sent Night Sorrow and Long Jean, who had followed them, flying. Night Sorrow noticed that it was the Tao aura produced by the human sovereign skeleton. The energy wave that was activated prevented him and Long Jean from moving forward. This is too powerful. After being sent 100 miles away, Night Sorrow helped Long Jean to stabilize his body. His eyes were filled with astonishment. "Long Jean, go into the spatial treasure first. I'll try to get closer," Night Sorrow said to Long Jean. "Okay." Long Jean nodded. His body flashed and entered the Hautian godly pagoda at Night Sorrow's waist. Night Sorrow walked towards the human sovereign skeleton again. At the same time, he held the human sovereign's seal in his hand. When the halo of Tao aura appeared again, Night Sorrow's power of merit erupted and activated the human sovereign's seal. The words of the human sovereign's Tao De Sutra flowed on Night Sorrow's body. The halo of Tao aura produced by the human sovereign skeleton rippled in all directions, but it did not attack Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow walked step by step towards the human sovereign skeleton. With the power of merit protecting his body, Night Sorrow walked until he was 10 feet away from the human sovereign skeleton. "Senior human sovereign, I, Night Sorrow, am here to welcome you back." Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards the human sovereign skeleton. After paying his respects, Night Sorrow raised the human sovereign's seal. Then, the human sovereign's seal exploded with an intense golden light. The golden light wrapped around the human sovereign skeleton and put it into the space of the human sovereign seal. Worried that the void purple light snake would threaten the human sovereign skeleton, Night Sorrow wanted to transfer it out. He discovered that the void purple light snake was hiding in a corner of the human sovereign seal. It was trembling and did not move forward. This situation made Night Sorrow feel relieved. Then, he transferred Long Jean out of the Hautian god's pagoda. "Look around here." Back then, this was a battlefield. The ancestral devil's weapon, the Sky Desolation halberd, should be nearby. After searching for an hour, Night Sorrow found a huge pit at the bottom of the cliff. There was a crimson halberd in the pit. It was too big. It was more than 2 feet long. The handle was as thick as Night Sorrow's calf. Night Sorrow reached out to pull it out, but it did not budge. "It's heavy," Night Sorrow muttered. At the same time, his avatar and Long Jean came over. "Found it?" Long Jean was very excited because this meant that the mission was completed. "Rise." Night Sorrow grabbed the long handle of the Sky Desolation halberd and began to exert force. He slowly pulled out the Sky Desolation halberd from the ground. "Stop. Go to hell." When Night Sorrow pulled out the Sky Desolation halberd, Mo Tianji appeared. She did not expect that Night Sorrow would beat her to it. However, she felt that it was not too late. As long as she killed Night Sorrow, she could take back the Sky Desolation halberd. Night Sorrow's soul power revolved. He threw the Sky Desolation halberd into the Hautian god's pagoda. However, after throwing it twice, he did not throw it in. Chapter 1886. The Sky Desolate war halberd was too heavy. Night Sorrow felt that if he hadn't cultivated his body, he wouldn't have been able to lift it at all. He couldn't estimate how heavy it was. Night Sorrow ran in front while Mo Tianji chased from behind. Mo Tianji's speed was too fast. Even after using Void Step, Night Sorrow was barely able to maintain his distance. "Captain, let's just kill her." Long Jean appeared and returned to the clear sky godly pagoda after a palm strike. "Run first. Don't come out. This woman isn't that easy to kill." Night Sorrow communicated with Long Jean. Long Jean appeared to attack. He wanted to give Long Jean time to return to the clear sky godly pagoda. This would delay their escape. "Captain, you know her?" Long Jean asked. "She's the Motng I mentioned to you. She didn't possess the Emperor's body. She fused with it," Night Sorrow said to Long Jean. Long Jean didn't say anything. He didn't expect Night Sorrow to be right. Motng was one of the three great heavens of the Demon Wing clan. She had lived for countless years. Whether it was combat experience, combat strength, or life experience, they couldn't compare to her. Kill? It definitely wasn't that easy to kill. "Little brat, it's your bad luck to meet me. Let's see if you can run away today." Motng was very excited because everything was in front of her. As long as she dealt with Night Sorrow, she would have the opportunity to rise again. She could also take back the fate of the Demon Wing clan. "You're too arrogant. A woman who can't even control her body dares to say anything?" Long Jean provoked Motng as Night Sorrow ran. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Motng retorted when she heard Long Jin's voice. "Isn't your original body in the hands of our captain, the little cub you speak of, Yishan? Then wouldn't our captain be able to touch and play with her however she wanted? So what right do you have to be arrogant?" After Long Jin's voice came out, Night Sorrow's breathing became difficult, let alone Motng. Long Jin's words were too vicious. Motng was one of the founders of the Demon Wing clan civilization. Long Jin's words were no different from stabbing her in the heart. "Night Sorrow, I will make you beg for death." Motng was infuriated because she felt that this kind of situation was truly possible. If her body had truly been desecrated, she would have felt it and known. However, if it was just a touch, she still wouldn't know. Moreover, she felt that it was very possible. In her impression, Night Sorrow wasn't a good person. So excited. Night Sorrow noticed that Motng's aura was unstable, which affected her speed. He did not try to defend himself against the dirty water that Long Jean had splashed on him because it was very harmful to Motng. "Little brat." Motng didn't know how to vent her anger. The 3,000 feet long white hair attacked Night Sorrow's back. However, the distance between them wasn't within her attack range. Her attacks all landed behind Night Sorrow. Her thighs are very white, and that's also very big. Seeing that it was effective, Night Sorrow also started a verbal battle. Motng was too vicious. He had no choice but to play along with Long Jin's words and use psychological warfare. Motng stopped cursing. She used her domain to increase her speed. Her white hair tore through space and whipped towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow also used his domain to increase his speed and increase the distance between them. However, he was still very close to Motng's attack range. The distance between them was less than 3,000 feet. However, Motng's white hair needed time to fly. Attacking Night Sorrow, who was flying at extreme speed, the attack range of the 3,000 feet white hair was only half of that. "Captain, how does it feel to touch one of the three great heavens of the Demon Wing clan?" Long Jean was very naughty. He realized that Motng was hitting where it hurt. "That goes without saying." Haha. Night Sorrow was now confident. Motng's speed was almost the same as his. It wouldn't be easy for her to catch up to him. After running for a while, Night Sorrow's clone appeared. Then, he switched places with his original body and carried the sky desolate war halberd. His original body entered the Haotian godly pagoda to rest. He had to be in peak condition at all times. Night Sorrow's original body and clone switched places to rest. Motng couldn't switch places. She didn't have a clone. This woman is too vicious. She rushed all the way to where we found the sky desolate war halberd. She didn't rest or recover. If she was in peak condition, we would be in a dire situation. Night Sorrow greeted Long Jean and entered the area where time was 50 times faster to recover. Seeing Night Sorrow's original body and clone switch places, Mo Tianji's beautiful eyes flashed. She was extremely annoyed. Night's sorrow was too infuriating. If it was in the past, she could deal with Night's sorrow with just a strand of her hair, let alone a finger. Even now, if she was in peak condition, it wouldn't be a problem. In order to make the best use of time, she flew all the way. The energy in her body was less than 50% of her usual. In the chase, the two left the battlefield of Broken Sky Mountain. The void purple light snake also appeared. Night's sorrow used his virtuous domain to suppress the void purple light snake. After the void purple light snake couldn't attack him, he continued to run. Mo Tianji couldn't take it anymore. She retracted her white hair that was attacking Night's sorrow from time to time and formed a protective cocoon to block the void purple light snake's attacks. Under such circumstances, her speed slowed down. However, Night's sorrow's speed didn't change. The gap between the two began to widen. Chapter 1887. Ah! Little brat, stop right now. Mo Tianji screamed at Night's sorrow. 3,000 feet white hair was one of her talents. If a strand of her hair was pulled off, her soul would naturally feel it. If you keep chasing, I will rip off your clothes. Don't think I am a petty person. You are an old demon from the Demon Wing clan. I can do anything to protect myself. Night's sorrow threatened Mo Tianji. Mo Tianji stopped. She really didn't dare to continue chasing because she knew that Yi Shang still had a clone outside. In order to survive and attack her, it was possible that he would do anything. Not bad. Don't chase. Night's sorrow carried the Sky Baron war halberd and continued running. Seeing Night's sorrow's straight body under the Sky Baron war halberd, Mo Tianji felt that Night's sorrow was her nemesis. As long as she fought against Night's sorrow, she would definitely be at a disadvantage. Seeing Night's sorrow disappear, Mo Tianji entered her spatial treasure to recover. She was in a bad state and couldn't do anything. She knew this very well. Mo Tianji recovered from the time acceleration and continued to fly towards the area she sensed. At this moment, her mind was filled with Night's sorrow. When she thought of Night's sorrow's domain of golden light, Mo Tianji bit her lips. She knew she had been tricked. That was the power of merits. Back then, Night's sorrow also used his power of merits to help Yan Wushuang trick her. Mo Tianji estimated that Night's sorrow's power of merits was at the peak of the emperor level. It was not easy to obtain this power of merits. It was the recognition of the heavenly Tao. There were some things he wouldn't do. Mo Tianji was very angry. She felt that being forced to retreat by a little brat was a deep humiliation. If she didn't deal with Night's sorrow, then Night's sorrow would become her heart demon that could never be removed. Night's sorrow carried the Sky Baron war halberd and ran. He was also dizzy because he couldn't put it away no matter what he did. Long Jean, help me think of a way. Night's sorrow said to Long Jean. I will help you hold it for a while. Long Jean appeared in Night's sorrow's domain and carried the Sky Baron war halberd. Holding the Sky Baron war halberd, Long Jean staggered. What is this thing? You should carry it yourself. I can carry it, but I don't have the speed. Night's sorrow had no choice but to continue running while carrying the halberd. He didn't know how to put it away. If he didn't put it away, then the danger would always be there. The reason was very simple. If Mo Tianji could find the Sky Wasteland combat halberd, then it was very likely that she was related to it. If he didn't put it away, then he would be constantly hunted down by Mo Tianji. Night's sorrow's 9-domain doppelganger found Lin Piaomiao and asked her to ask the Grand Elder and the others how to resolve this matter. When he came, no one told him. King Yawu, the mayor, and the Grand Elder, who had not left the heavenly wasteland city, were very happy when they heard this because Night's sorrow had succeeded. K0Y Yong 4 Geo 5 Free F Fee caret look at RZ small, say N, Piaomiao, we all know that space treasures of the same level can't accommodate each other. This principle is also applicable in other places. The Sky Baron war halberd is the most precious treasure of the Demon Wing clan. It's the weapon of destiny of the Demon Wing clan. If it isn't refined, no space treasure can contain it. The mayor said. Knight Sorrow didn't have time to study or refine it. Mo Tianji is chasing him. He said that the halberd is extremely heavy. Lin Piaomiao was a little anxious. I thought that after countless years, the Sky Baron war halberd was just a weapon. Even if the Demon Wing clan took it back, they would have to use the destiny of the entire clan to nourish it. Our people can also take it. But the situation is different from what we expected. The Sky Baron war halberd is still the same weapon. Tell Knight Sorrow that his own safety is the most important thing. If he can't use the Sky Baron war halberd, then throw it away. The mayor said. Throw away the Sky Baron war halberd? Isn't that too regretful? The Grand Elder said unwillingly. The weapon of destiny of the Demon Wing clan isn't that easy to take. If Knight Sorrow was an emperor and a cultivator of the 9 emperors' trials of the heavenly Tao, he might be able to handle it if he had time. But now that he has it, it's a crisis. King Yawu said. Let's do that. Piaomiao, tell Knight Sorrow to throw it away if he can't use it. The mayor made the decision. Lin Piaomiao left the Sky Baron city and returned to the 9 regions world. She told Knight Sorrow's clone about the mayor, King Yawu, and the Grand Elder's decision. Throw it away? No way. I spent so much effort and ran so far with it. Now you want me to throw it away? Let the Demon Wing clan take it back? Absolutely not. Knight Sorrow was unwilling. He didn't want the Demon Wing clan to take back the Sky Baron war halberd. In the reincarnation battlefield, Knight Sorrow's clone was still running with the Sky Baron war halberd. The original body in the Haotian Godly Pagoda was also discussing countermeasures with Long Jin. We can't throw it away. It's obviously something good. After hearing the mayor, King Yawu, and the Grand Elder's decision, Long Jin was also unwilling. We definitely won't throw it away. Even if we run with Mo Tianji for 2 years, we won't throw it away. Knight Sorrow's attitude was also very firm. Captain, maybe that woman was scared by us and stopped chasing us. Long Jin said. Impossible. She'll definitely chase after us. She might even attack us from the shadows. She's the 3rd Grand Heaven of the Demon Wing clan. She was once one of the strongest experts of the Demon Wing clan. Her will is very strong. Chapter 1888. In order to deal with the Sky Wasteland war halberd as soon as possible, Knight Sorrow sent his virtuous fire and soul power into the Sky Wasteland war halberd. Black energy. The Sky Wasteland war halberd was filled with black destructive energy. The black destructive energy was extremely violent as it resisted Knight Sorrow's soul power and virtuous fire. Most #= new chapter by Knight Sorrow controlled the virtuous fire and started refining the destructive energy within the Sky Wasteland war halberd. In order to refine a magic treasure or weapon, the first step was to obliterate all other auras within the magic treasure or weapon. When the magic treasure or weapon was completely permeated and contaminated with one's own aura, the refinement of the magic treasure or weapon would be complete. Under the Haotian Godly Pagoda's time acceleration, Knight Sorrow's virtuous fire and soul power continued to battle with the energy within the Sky Wasteland war halberd. As time passed, Knight Sorrow and Long Jin's alertness increased. The more time passed, the higher the possibility of Mo Tianji getting closer. 6 hours had passed in the real world, but Knight Sorrow's main body had refined it for more than 7 days. Knight Sorrow decided to leave. The longer he stayed, the more dangerous it would be. Knight Sorrow's doppelganger and main body switched places. He put Long Jin into the Haotian Godly Pagoda and his doppelganger carried the Sky Wasteland war halberd and started running. As soon as Knight Sorrow started running, Mo Tianji, who had been slowly moving within the spatial magic treasure, could not wait any longer. She could only attack. She was very angry. Just a little bit more. If she had a little more time, she would have been able to get closer and deal a heavy blow to Yishang. But because of Yishang's sudden decision, her plan was disrupted. Seeing Mo Tianji appear, Night Sorrow released his domain. With the support of his domain, he used the void step to dodge Mo Tianji's fluttering white hair attack and ran. "Little brat, I used up a lot of energy last time and could not catch up to you. Let's see how you're going to run this time." Although she had lost the best chance to launch a sneak attack, Mo Tianji was still very confident. "You think too much. I don't care if you used up a lot or not." Night Sorrow's doppelganger took out the Blood Chilan evil slaying spear and used the Void Extreme Kill to break the spatial barrier. He did not slow down at all as he charged into the spatial turbulence. And supported by his domain to the maximum, he flew into the spatial magic treasure. Mo Tianji had peak monarch cultivation, with her cultivation peak monarch cultivation and an even higher realm cultivation. She was a monarch realm monarch, and a peak monarch realm monarch. Yi. And Yi could attacks. With was hers. Why did Night Sorrow enter the spatial turbulence? It was because he heard Mo Tianji's words. Last time, he could not catch up because he used up a lot of energy. This time, he did not use up any energy. "Captain, leaving is a life-saving decision. If we left a little later and this woman came closer to launch a sneak attack, we would not be able to stop her." Long Jin, who was in the Haotian godly pagoda, said. He had seen the power of Mo Tianji's white hair. It was too terrifying. Night Sorrow's real body, who was standing beside Long Jin, took a sip of wine. "I knew something was wrong. So this woman was hiding in the dark. She wants to bite us." Night Sorrow's real body refined the Sky Wasteland War Halberd. He used his power of virtue to activate the human emperor's seal. He continued to refine it. His consumption was also replenished. Being targeted by a woman like her is scarier than having a thorn in one's back. Long Jin nodded. He knew that if there was a monarch realm monarch who could fight against Mo Tianji, it would be Night Sorrow. But the others had no power to resist. He, Long Jin, could not out-scheme Mo Tianji. He could fight, but he could not maintain it for long. Mo Tianji's realm combined with her monarch energy cultivation allowed her to display the fighting strength of a high-class emperor. Night Sorrow ran for a while before a void purple light snake appeared in the chaotic void. The void purple light snake was a void creature, so the spatial barrier was nothing to them. Whether it was the real world or the spatial turbulence, the void purple light snake would occupy it. Once the void purple light snake got close to Night Sorrow's light of virtue domain, its speed would be suppressed. Night Sorrow could use void step to dodge and continue flying. Mo Tianji was powerful, but she did not have this advantage. She could only fly with her white hair wrapped around her body. This slowed her down and consumed more energy. The distance between her and Night Sorrow grew. "Hey! Arrogant woman, who do you want to bite to death? Why don't you try biting?" Seeing that they were safe, Long Jin began to verbally attack Mo Tianji. "Night Sorrow, I will catch up to you and bite you to death." Mo Tianji roared angrily. "You can't even bite the captain's private part." Without needing Night Sorrow to reply, Long Jin retorted. "I will definitely bite." Mo Tianji was so angry that she spoke without thinking. "Haha. Mo Tianji, you won't even let a man's private part go." Long Jin laughed loudly and passed through the clear sky divine pagoda. Mo Tianji's white face filled with anger turned red. She did not expect to fall into Long Jin's trap. Unable to verbally attack, Mo Tianji did not say anything and just chased. Once she caught up, all verbal attacks were useless. In the chaotic void, Night Sorrow and Mo Tianji were both extremely fast. However, Mo Tianji slowly fell behind because she had to defend against the void purple light snake while Night Sorrow did not. Also, she was using up a lot of energy. Mo Tianji stopped chasing. She knew that it was Night Sorrow's clone who was flying with the Sky Desolate War Halberd. Night Sorrow's main body was still in good condition. After switching, she could not catch up even if she wanted to. In addition, Mo Tianji was not afraid that Night Sorrow would get lost. With the connection between the Sky Desolate War Halberd and the Devil Ancestor's hair, she could find Night Sorrow at any time as long as she did not give Night Sorrow time. Mo Tianji stopped chasing. Night Sorrow tore through space and returned to the real world to run. However, he used his main body. His clone was using up a lot of energy. "Captain, this woman is too scary. If I get caught, she will at most kill me. But she will really bite your private part." Long Jean and Night Sorrow returned to the Clear Sky Divine Pagoda and communicated with their clones. "This fight shows that we can still run away from her. However, we must be careful when refining," Night Sorrow said. Then Long Jean suggested that Night Sorrow should refine the Sky Desolate War Halberd. The more time they had, the better. He would fight for that time. Long Jean meant to go to the outskirts of Broken Sky Mountain where there were no void purple light snakes. Then, his main body would appear and fly with Night Sorrow and the Clear Sky Divine Pagoda. If Mo Tianji wanted to get close, she would have to keep flying. She would not be able to recover to her peak state. But have you ever thought about how heavy the Sky Desolate War Halberd is? Even if my main body was refining it at the top of the Clear Sky Divine Pagoda, you would still have to bear the weight, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 1889. If you can withstand it, then it's not a bad idea. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and felt that it was feasible. After the doppelganger recovered, Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger switched places again. The doppelganger carried the Sky Desolation Halberd and flew to the edge of Broken Sky Mountain. This was also the time for the original body to recover, because the original body's soul power was the most effective when refining treasures. After leaving the void purple light snakes area, Long Jean appeared and turned into a 3,000-meter-long golden dragon. Night Sorrow's doppelganger entered the Hautian Godly Pagoda, which was 50 times faster, to recover. His original body placed the Hautian Godly Pagoda between the two strongest front claws on Long Jin's back. He went to the top of the Hautian Godly Pagoda and began to speed up the refining process. After leaving the void turbulence and recovering, Mo Tianji realized something was wrong. The red hair on her finger was flashing chaotically and was not stable enough. This meant that Night Sorrow had not stopped. Mo Tianji flew in the direction the hair was pointing, but after flying for a long time, she still could not find any trace of Night Sorrow and Long Jean. She was puzzled because there was only one possibility in this situation: Night Sorrow had not stopped. In fact, Night Sorrow and Long Jean had not stopped. Long Jean had used up a lot of energy. Night Sorrow's doppelganger appeared and flew with the Hautian Godly Pagoda. While Night Sorrow's doppelganger was flying, Long Jean recovered in the Hautian Godly Pagoda space, which was 50 times faster. Then, the two of them switched places. Long Jean suggested to Night Sorrow that they should go and pick up his original body. This way, the two of them would have less pressure and could fly continuously without any problems. But if you leave, the team will not be safe enough. If a void purple light snake appears, it will be fatal. Night Sorrow was worried about the team's safety. Tianyu's strength has increased recently. He should be safe with his people hiding in a spatial treasure. Otherwise, we should bring everyone, Long Jean said. Night Sorrow shook his head and did not plan to bring his team with him because it was too dangerous. Mo Tianji was not an ordinary person. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow asked Long Jean to test Tianyu's strength, to see if Tianyu could fly while carrying the Sky Wasteland Halberd. After receiving a positive reply, Night Sorrow asked Long Jean to continue staying with the team while informing Tianyu's clone to wait at the designated area. Then, he and Long Jean continued to fly. They were going to circle around Broken Sky Mountain before picking up Tianyu's clone. Night Sorrow would not let Long Jean and Tianyu's main bodies take the risk. Long Jean thought for a moment and didn't insist on sending his own body. He knew that Night Sorrow was thinking for him. Night Sorrow and Long Jean flew at a stable speed while Night Sorrow's main body controlled the fire of virtue and soul power to refine the black destructive energy in the sky wasteland halberd. The city lord and King Yowu were worried about Night Sorrow and asked Lin Piaomiao about Night Sorrow's situation many times. After learning about Night Sorrow's decision and the current situation, they were both surprised and worried. They were worried about Night Sorrow's safety and surprised that Night Sorrow could keep the sky wasteland halberd. Everyone knew what kind of person Mo Tianji was. Even if she was an emperor, killing an emperor was as easy as flipping her hand. Now, she was fooled by Night Sorrow's strategy, which showed Night Sorrow's ability. "This kid is too stubborn," the Grand Elder said. "Without a strong personality and independent thinking, how can he become the Merit Emperor? Our opinion is just whether he will take the suggestion or not," the city lord said. "Piaomiao, it seems very stable now, but there is still a big crisis, or rather, an unstable factor," the city lord said. Then, the city lord, who was also Tran Hung, said a possibility that shocked Lin Piaomiao. The sky wasteland halberd might contain the soul power of the demon ancestor. _PW, the demon ancestor was the top expert of the demon race in the last reincarnation. He was on par with the human emperor of the celestial realm. If his soul power exists, how can Night Sorrow deal with it? Lin Piaomiao was a bit anxious because this was a real crisis. It's not that scary. The demon ancestor has been in a deep sleep for 8 eras. This means that his soul was destroyed by the human emperor. Deep sleep is just a saying. His soul might have been destroyed. Whether or not the sky wasteland halberd has his soul power is another matter. Even if it does, it won't be very strong. If it returned to his body so early, he might have already woken up. If it didn't return, it means that even if the demon ancestor's soul power exists, it's a very weak soul fragment. Without a body, the demon ancestor's soul power is like a rootless duckweed. I'm telling you this so that you can remind Night Sorrow to be vigilant. His soul needs to be protected at all times, the city lord said. Night Sorrow was shocked when he heard this news from Lin Piaomiao. This news was too frightening. Mo Tianji used to be a soul body. How terrifying was she now? If the demon ancestor still had his soul power, it would be terrible. Then, Lin Piaomiao told Night Sorrow some of the city lord's estimates. Only then did he feel more at ease. Mo Tianji kept flying but couldn't catch up with Night Sorrow. She understood that Night Sorrow didn't stop and kept flying. She was very annoyed. How could she attack Night Sorrow if she couldn't catch him? This situation also made Mo Tianji understand that some opportunities only came once. It was fleeting. After chasing for half a month, Mo Tianji cursed because she found that Night Sorrow and she were going in circles around Broken Mountain. But so what? The idea of waiting for him didn't work. Night Sorrow was going in circles, but it was hundreds of thousands of miles away from the original route. How could she wait for him? Mo Tianji decided to find a team first and then think of a way to intercept Night Sorrow once. It was too difficult to get rid of Night Sorrow in one go and catch Night Sorrow. The same opportunity wouldn't appear twice. After circling around Broken Mountain, Night Sorrow and Long Jean picked up Tianyu's clone. With the three brothers together, Night Sorrow was relaxed. His original body continued to refine the halberd while his clone was in peak condition, ready to deal with any possible battle. Mo Tianji brought the demon-winged clan's team to her side. At the same time, she estimated where Night Sorrow might appear. She knew very well that Night Sorrow wouldn't give up on Broken Mountain because the Void Purple Light Snake was a protective talisman that Night Sorrow used to stop her. On the other side of Broken Mountain, Night Sorrow asked Tianyu to stop in a safe area. After setting up an illusion array, he made a teleportation array disk. After flying for thousands of miles, Night Sorrow asked Long Jean, who had replaced Tianyu, to stop. He set up a large illusion array and asked Long Jean and Tianyu to rest. "Captain, it's safer to keep flying," Tianyu asked. "We're on our second round now. That cunning woman might not keep chasing us. She might be waiting somewhere." If we keep running, we'll be passive and let her catch up. Then we'll take the teleportation array and run. We'll play like this in the future and tire that cunning woman to death, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 1890. That's just a joke. We need to be careful. It's only been half a month. We need to recover enough energy to fight her. She's much stronger than us, so we need to cultivate. If she comes, we'll run. Also, I have a battle technique that I forgot to use before, Night Sorrow said. What battle technique? Tianyu asked. It's when I place my soul power on the opponent. As long as the opponent doesn't notice it, I can always find the opponent's location, Night Sorrow said. Long Jin and Tianyu's eyes brightened. This was a good idea. As long as they knew where Mo Tianji was and whether she was close to them, they would be much safer. Start. Night Sorrow's original body had been refining the Sky Baron battle halberd. Although the results were not ideal, he was not in a hurry. As long as he had the Sky Baron battle halberd, he could slowly refine it. In the process of refining the Sky Baron battle halberd, Night Sorrow did not forget to cultivate. The sky above Broken Mountain was filled with flickering energy whirlpools. The power of heaven and earth was also very strong. Night Sorrow would not give up such an opportunity. Besides, time was very important to him. If he could cultivate to 6-star Imperial Emperor, the gap between him and Mo Tianji would be smaller. All this time, Night Sorrow felt that he could fight someone stronger than him. However, it was unrealistic for him to do so in front of Mo Tianji. Mo Tianji was above the tribulation of 7 emperors. Her comprehension of the power of heaven and earth completely suppressed him. The energy in her body was also much stronger than his. On the other side of Broken Mountain, Mo Tianji frowned. The hair on her finger was still flashing, but it was much more stable. This meant that the Sky Baron battle halberd had not moved. Night Sorrow was still. Seeing that Night Sorrow was not moving, Mo Tianji knew that waiting was not enough. She had to go and catch him. Mo Tianji did not know where Night Sorrow was, but with the demon ancestor's hair guiding her, it was not difficult for her to find Night Sorrow. Mo Tianji put her subordinates into her spatial treasure and then went to catch Night Sorrow according to the hair's guidance. Within the illusory array, Tianyu and Long Jin were drinking wine. Their true bodies were with the team, cultivating within the array. Night Sorrow's main body was cultivating and refining the Sky Wasteland halberd at the top of the Clear Sky Pagoda, while his clone was cultivating his spear arts. As time passed, Mo Tianji got closer and closer to Night Sorrow and the other two. Mo Tianji was a bit excited. Night Sorrow not moving was her chance. If she could use this chance to get rid of Night Sorrow, then everything would be resolved. Mo Tianji sensed that she was getting closer and closer to the desolate sky halberd. She was especially careful as she advanced. As she investigated, Mo Tianji found the location of the illusion array. She didn't expect Night Sorrow to create an illusion array. After thinking for a while, she figured it out. Yan Wushuang was an array expert, and Night Sorrow, who had received his inheritance, was naturally proficient in array formations as well. Hiding in the spatial treasure and using soul power to control the treasure to pass through the array was unrealistic. Any energy fluctuation within the array would be detected by Night Sorrow. After thinking for a while, Mo Tianji felt that she could only break through the array with brute force. Then, she would lead the team to surround Night Sorrow. This way, Night Sorrow wouldn't have a chance to escape. Mo Tianji spoke to the monarch of the Demon Wing clan in the spatial treasure. Then, she appeared. After she appeared, her white hair danced in the wind as she attacked the illusion array. Night Sorrow noticed Mo Tianji's attack. His clone, who cultivated spear arts, was very alert. Night Sorrow immediately put Long Jin and Tianyu into the Clear Sky Godly Scout. His main body put away the Clear Sky Godly Pagoda and placed the Sky Wasteland halberd on his shoulder. Then, the original body and the doppelganger's soul power shot out toward Mo Tianji. After releasing the soul powers, Night Sorrow's clone and main body merged into one. Then, he took out the array disc. Mo Tianji smashed the illusion array and charged towards Night Sorrow. At this moment, Night Sorrow's soul powers were like steel needles piercing towards Mo Tianji's body. You won't be able to escape today. Mo Tianji didn't care about Night Sorrow's soul power. This level of soul attack was trash in her eyes. It didn't affect her at all. Yi Shang's two vital strands of soul power, under the cover of a large amount of soul power, landed on the root of Mo Tianji's white hair near her neck, and the other pierced through the hem of her dress. You want to catch me? You need to have the ability first. I'm not playing with you anymore. Night Sorrow activated the teleportation array disc. Then, his body started to blur and he disappeared from Mo Tianji's sight. When Mo Tianji's white hair whipped over, it hit nothing but air. Seeing Night Sorrow run away, Mo Tianji roared in anger. Her white hair swept across and shattered everything around her. Night Sorrow appeared from the teleportation array millions of miles away. Then, he brought Long Jin and Tianyu out as well. Captain, did you succeed? Long Jin asked. I used a soul attack to cover up those two pure soul powers. She shouldn't have noticed. We need to keep running. After keeping a certain distance from her, I'll set up another teleportation array and illusion array. As he spoke, Night Sorrow tore down the teleportation array. After Night Sorrow packed up, Tianyu carried the clear sky godly pagoda and started flying. Night Sorrow's main body was still at the top of the clear sky pagoda. He was refining the sky desolate war halberd under the time acceleration. Tianyu and Long Jin took turns flying. It didn't affect Night Sorrow's main body's refining and cultivation. After flying for 7 days, Night Sorrow set up an illusion array in a safe place. The illusion array hid the teleportation array that he tore down a few days ago. After flying for millions of miles, Night Sorrow brought Tianyu and Long Jin to a stop. Night Sorrow's main body continued refining the sky desolate war halberd while his doppelganger set up the teleportation array and illusion array. It's very exciting. We can take turns and she will be tired. Long Jin said with a smile. Mo Tianji was furious that Night Sorrow ran away. However, she realized that Night Sorrow was very smart. He had already calculated everything. Night Sorrow was strong and good at escaping. He was also an array emperor teacher. It wouldn't be easy for her to capture him. However, she wouldn't give up. Mo Tianji even felt that Night Sorrow should be captured alive. If the Devil Wing clan could obtain Night Sorrow's bloodline, then their descendants would have a very high-grade bloodline. They might even surpass the Devil Wing clan. The Devil Wing clan wanted to prosper and never decline. They had been working hard. As they worked hard to improve themselves, they also improved their own bloodlines. The dragon-headed and snake-headed people were the products of bloodline evolution. However, these two were already failed products. Chapter 1891. If it was just Night Sorrow, Mo Tianji wouldn't be so worried. However, she knew very well that Night Sorrow had a clone outside the reincarnation battlefield that could communicate with human almighties. If there was really a way to refine the everlasting war halberd or cut off the connection between her and the everlasting war halberd, it would be difficult for her to find Night Sorrow again. After Gong Zibai's team was blocked by the void purple light snake, they couldn't move forward. After being obstructed for a very long time, Gong Zongbai thought of a way. He captured quite a number of early-stage monarch-ranked dragon-headed men and snake-headed men. He wiped out their souls and used his soul power to control them. After that, he stored his subordinates into his spatial treasure. When the void purple light snake appeared, Gong Zibai used the bodies of the dragon-headed and snake-headed and dragon-headed to block it. Then, he used energy to trigger a self-explosion. This way, he could kill the void purple light snake. Night Sorrow's main body worked hard every day to refine the everlasting war halberd. Because he kept refining the destruction energy, Night Sorrow discovered that his destruction attribute power of heaven and earth was increasing rapidly. This was naturally a good thing. However, Night Sorrow didn't stabilize for long. On the 6th day, Mo Tianji approached the illusion array area. Because there were 2 soul powers on Mo Tianji knew when she got close to Night Sorrow. Unexpectedly, Mo Tianji noticed that something was wrong. When Mo Tianji was breaking the array, Night Sorrow took the array disc and ran away. This made Mo Tianji's thoughts and hopes go down the drain. Mo Tianji was very annoyed. Before she could use many of her backup plans, Night Sorrow took the teleportation array disc and ran away. After using the teleportation array disc to teleport tens of thousands of miles away, Night Sorrow dismantled the teleportation array. Tianyu took the Haotian godly pagoda and started flying. Tianyu was very fast. It was very easy for him to pull away from Mo Tianji. He could travel 3,000 miles in one strike and 90,000 miles in one go. Mo Tianji will think that we noticed her because she broke the formation. She won't think that you noticed her long ago. She won't think that something is wrong with her, said Long Jean. This is indeed a lot safer. We won't be ambushed by that cunning woman. Night Sorrow nodded. What was the scariest? Unknown danger was the scariest. If he couldn't discover Mo Tianji in advance, being ambushed by her would be a huge problem. Now, as long as Mo Tianji got close, Night Sorrow would be able to sense it and the danger would be greatly reduced. The mayor, King Yowu, and the Grand Elder had been paying attention to Night Sorrow's situation. Night Sorrow also informed them of the situation through Lin Piaomiao. If someone else asked, Night Sorrow wouldn't bother to answer. However, the mayor had helped him twice. The first time was to solve the demon ancestor's soul problem and seal Mo Tianji. Night Sorrow was grateful. King Yowu was his martial uncle and cared about him a lot. In addition, the Grand Elder was a senior that he respected a lot and taught him a lot. Every time they heard from Lin Piaomiao that Night Sorrow was safe, the mayor and the other 2 were very happy. In their hearts, the Sky Desolate halberd was not as valuable as Night Sorrow. However, Night Sorrow didn't want to let go of the halberd. They couldn't force him. The mayor and the other 2 also knew that it was useless to give any orders to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow had his own ideas. The combination of his brain power and his strength is unbreakable for Mo Tianji. When the time is up, Night Sorrow will be safe. Then I'll go and solve the problem of the Demon Mountain. Maybe that's the key to why the black dragons and the flying snakes betrayed the celestial realm, the mayor said. King Yowu and the Grand Elder both nodded. The internal disharmony in the celestial realm was the most unstable factor in the conflict between the celestial realm and the Sky Desolate realm. This went on for half a year. Mo Tianji broke through more than a dozen illusion formations of Night Sorrow. However, no matter how careful she was, Night Sorrow would always run away at the crucial moment. This made Mo Tianji very angry. However, she didn't know how to break Night Sorrow's habit of running away when he was discovered. During this period of cultivation, Yishang's cultivation had increased once more. Staying at the top of the Haotian God Pagoda in the acceleration of time had increased Yishang's spacetime attribute by 1 point and his nothingness attribute by 2 points, reaching 53%. There were many void purple light snakes here, which meant that the void attribute was the strongest. It was the place where the will of the world was the strongest. The destruction attribute's will of the world also increased by 2 points, reaching 52%. This was the benefit of refining the Sky Desolate halberd. Unable to bring the halberd into the Haotian godly pagoda, Night Sorrow could only refine it at the top of the pagoda. Although the time acceleration couldn't reach 50 times, 30 times was more than enough. Half a year in the real world meant that Night Sorrow had refined the halberd for 15 years. 15 years of continuous refinement of the destructive energy inside the Sky Desolate halberd had helped Yishang a lot. After refining for 15 years, Night Sorrow still hadn't finished refining the halberd. However, it wasn't that he didn't gain anything. He refined part of the halberd's handle. It should be said that part of the handle was contaminated with his soul aura. Now that he was holding the halberd, it wasn't that heavy anymore. Of course, this was Night Sorrow's feeling. It was still very strenuous for Long Jin and Tianyu to take it directly. When Night Sorrow held the halberd, it was 1/3 lighter than before. Night Sorrow understood that he had refined 1/3 of it. Since he couldn't put it away, Night Sorrow held it in his hand. If he encountered a void purple light snake, he would use the halberd to attack. When Night Sorrow used the halberd, he didn't have the sharpness and agility of the reincarnation spear. However, there was an additional weight. It was a weight that could crush everything. As long as the halberd hit something, even a mountain would be turned into dust. Void purple light snake was no exception. 7 months have passed. We still have to endure. After using the teleportation array again to avoid Mo Tianji, Night Sorrow and the other two flew for a day and landed on the ground to set up camp. In the past, the three of them didn't dare to set up camp. But now, they weren't afraid because Night Sorrow would know in advance if Mo Tianji chased after them. Night Sorrow and the other two drank and chatted. They were all in a good mood. Brother Shirsan, Mo Tianji is still thinking about your bloodline. I can't help but laugh when I think about it. Tianyu said with a smile. This treacherous woman is pissing me off. Night Sorrow cursed. Last time, when they were chasing after Night Sorrow, Mo Tianji had shouted that as long as Night Sorrow was willing to submit, the Demon Wing clan would marry their most outstanding princess to Night Sorrow. If they had children, they would be given the title of nobles in the Demon Wing clan. After hearing this, Night Sorrow and the other two knew what Mo Tianji was thinking as long as they weren't stupid. That's her wishful thinking. But Captain, maybe you can try to see how the Demon Wing clan's princess feels. Long Jin took a bite of meat and said. I don't reject the union of the 100 races of the celestial realm with the human race. But the Demon Wing clan is a foreign race. If the 100 races of the celestial realm marry the Demon Wing clan, it would be betraying the celestial realm. Night Sorrow said. Long Jin and Tianyu nodded. They knew this was their principle. If it were them, they wouldn't do it either. Another small group. The leader has a very strong evil aura. They should be the Black Dragons. Long Jin, confirm. Night Sorrow's soul power scanned the area and Gong Zongbai's group appeared. Chapter 1892. Not only were the dragon-headed and snake-headed people under Gong Zibai's control dead, but his team had also lost 6 clones. It was a heavy loss, but there was nothing he could do about it. The void purple light snakes were too fast. Even Mo Tianji couldn't stop them, let alone Gong Zibai and his team. The void purple light snakes devoured energy and flew. Any seal would be broken in an instant. Long Jin checked and nodded. That's right. They are members of the Black Dragons. Half of them are from the Flying Serpent race. Brother 13, should we kill them? Tianyu asked. We know the dragon language and have a good relationship with the dragon language. There's no need to attack the Black Dragons directly. I have a grudge with Long Zai. I'll settle it with him in the future. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Long Jin and Tianyu nodded. They supported Night Sorrow's decision. Currently, the Black Dragons and Flying Serpents had been going against the 100 Races Alliance of the Celestial Realm. However, the 100 Races Alliance hadn't given the order to kill them. Night Sorrow didn't kill the Black Dragons because he was considering the big picture. Sometimes, the tiger would hurt the man even if the man didn't hurt the man. Night Sorrow's team was eating meat and drinking wine when Gong Zibai and his team arrived. After arriving, they surrounded Night Sorrow's team. Gong Zibai's eyes were fixed on the Sky Desolation halberd in front of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's team ignored Gong Zibai and his team and continued drinking. They wanted to see what Gong Zibai was going to do. Sky Desolation halberd. I've searched high and low for it, only to find it by chance. Gong Zibai recognized the Sky Desolation halberd. It was one of his missions. Are you done? Then get lost. Long Jin looked at Gong Zibai's greedy eyes unhappily. Do you want to die? Gong Zibai unsheathed his sword and pointed it at Long Jin. Long Jin stood up. Golden scales appeared on his arms, and dragon horns appeared on his head. He had transformed into a half-dragon. Are you going to attack me? If you want to attack, then get lost. There were many branches of the dragons. However, there was only one royal, and that was the Golden Dragon race. When Long Jin started to dragonize, the members of the Black Dragon clan retreated a distance. The natural king's aura had a great effect on them. I don't care who you are. The patriarch has ordered us to bring the Sky Desolation halberd back. No one can stop us, Gong Zongbai said. Calm. Leader, they won't retreat. Long Jin said. He was. Night sorrows, s. Night, calm. S, fight. It's. Ye. Be. Let, fight. Do you really think you're so great? You usually drag us down and show off. No one cares. But you shouldn't have stuck your foot in front of us. Tianyu held his sword in his hand. 3 pieces of trash. How dare you talk big? Who do you think you are? What is the Golden Dragon race? Gong Zibai looked at the Sky Baron war halberd with fiery eyes. We're trash. Who do you think you are? Night Sorrow snorted. You don't know what's good for you. Kill them all. Gong Zibai's eyes didn't leave the Sky Baron war halberd. He waved his hand and ordered the team behind him to attack. Tianyu roared. He unsheathed his sword and rushed toward the other members of the Black Dragon team. Long Jin began to wield the tsunami blade in his hand to kill the members of the Dragon tribe and the Flying Serpent tribe. Gong Zibai then rushed toward Night Sorrow. His target was the Sky Baron war halberd in front of Night Sorrow. Reckless. Night Sorrow grabbed the Sky Baron war halberd with his right hand and slashed at the war blade in Gong Zibai's right hand. You're the one who's courting death. Gong Zibai snorted. In terms of strength, Gong Zibai was never afraid of anyone. He was from the Black Dragon race and was born with great strength. Not to mention, his cultivation base was slightly higher than Night Sorrow's. When the 2 weapons collided, Gong Zibai's face changed. A powerful force came from the Sky Baron war halberd. It was so powerful that he couldn't describe it. Shatter. When the Sky Baron war halberd struck Gong Zibai's war blade, the majestic and heavy intent shattered it. Following that, the force behind the halberd sent Gong Zibai flying. Blood flowed from the corner of Gong Zibai's mouth. Night Sorrow had seriously injured him. Night Sorrow sent out a Sky Baron Nirvana palm with his left hand. He then used the void steps and instantly caught up with Gong Zibai, who was enveloped by the Sky Baron Nirvana palm. He then swung his Sky Baron war halberd. Gong Zibai's body was enveloped by the Sky Baron Nirvana palm space-time control. He couldn't dodge Night Sorrow's attack. He took out his war blade and raised it to block the Sky Baron war halberd's path towards his head. Pa! Gong Zibai's war blade shattered into pieces once again. The Sky Baron war halberd also landed on Gong Zibai's face. Even though Gong Zibai raised his head to dodge, he still couldn't avoid it. This time, Gong Zibai's mouth was flattened. His teeth flew out and his upper and lower jaw bones were shattered. He fainted on the spot. Since his head was attacked, his spirit sea was naturally affected as well. Originally, Gong Zibai wasn't such a trash. However, he thought that his cultivation base was high. Therefore, he didn't put Night Sorrow in his eyes. After the first exchange, he suffered a great loss and was seriously injured. After Night Sorrow released his domain, he waved the Sky Baron war halberd and joined the chaotic battle. After releasing his domain, Night Sorrow's speed was extremely fast. The Sky Baron war halberd continued to attack. As long as one was hit by the Sky Baron war halberd, they wouldn't have a good ending. The black dragons and flying serpents who were hit felt as if they were smashed by a mountain. They couldn't resist at all. Long Jin also started to kill. He wanted to clean up the clan. The black dragons dared to attack him because they didn't put the Golden Dragon clan in their eyes. They were offending their superiors. The battle went on for the time it took to brew a cup of tea. These monarchs were completely defeated by Night Sorrow and the other two. Long Jin released his bloodline suppression. The black dragons and flying serpents were all suppressed. The suppression came from their souls, causing their strength to be greatly reduced. Although Night Sorrow and the other two's cultivation base were low, they were very good at strength and speed. Therefore, the people that Gong Zibai brought were completely defeated. Because Long Jin killed, except for some who ran away without fighting, the rest were all killed. Night Sorrow sat down with the Sky Baron war halberd and continued to drink tea. Long Jin woke Gong Zibai up. He wanted to teach Gong Zibai a lesson. After waking up, Gong Zibai looked at Night Sorrow, Long Jin, and Tianyu. His eyes were filled with fear because the surroundings were filled with corpses. The black dragons are lawless now. They even dare to offend their superiors. Long Jin slapped Gong Zibai's face with a backhand. Gong Zibai knelt on the ground. Although he couldn't speak, his soul power could vibrate to convey his thoughts. He was begging for mercy and wanted to live. Chapter 1893. Gong Zibai kept kowtowing to the ground, begging for his life. Cheap mouth and soft bones. You are a disgrace, do you know that? Long Jin kicked Gong Zibai's face again. A spineless bastard, Tianyu scolded. He despised people like Gong Zibai the most. I'm a bastard. I'm a piece of trash. Please be merciful. Gong Zibai's soul kept fluctuating. A disgrace. The more Long Jin heard, the angrier he got. He slapped Gong Zibai's head. He couldn't let such a piece of trash live. After collecting the spoils, Tianyu spread his wings and flew with Night Sorrow and Long Jin on his back. Mo Tianji, who had sensed that the halberd wasn't moving, cursed. It wasn't moving, but now it was moving. Was he playing with her? As Tianyu flew, Night Sorrow sat at the top of the Haotian godly pagoda and continued to cultivate in the time acceleration. At the same time, he was refining the halberd. Captain, the halberd is very powerful. Long Jin said to Night Sorrow's doppelganger. He had seen the halberd's destructive power. It destroyed everything it attacked. It was very powerful. It's too heavy. Even if it's 1/3 lighter, I can't use it like an extension of my arm. I can't use some battle skills and techniques. It's too clumsy, Night Sorrow said. When it's completely refined, there won't be such a drawback. Then, Brother 13 will have another divine weapon, Tianyu said while flying. I'm afraid that won't work. The elders of the 100 races value this item very much. They might ask me for it, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. You have to give it to them just because they want it? That doesn't make sense. Besides, you were the one who abandoned the city lord, King Yowu, and the great elder. It's your ability to keep them. You've already done them a favor by finding the remains of the human sovereign. Long Jin didn't want to see Shang hand over the halberd that he had worked so hard to obtain. Night Sorrow nodded. He wasn't willing to hand it over either. If he could successfully bring it back, he would see how things developed. If the city lord of Heavenly Desolate City, King Yowu, and the great elder asked for it, then he would hand it over. The three of them were giants of the 100 Races Alliance. They were wholeheartedly thinking for the heaven realm and had no selfish motives. If others wanted it, then sorry, Yi Shang would not spoil them. Tianyu and Long Jin flew in turns while Mo Tianji chased after them. The distance between them did not decrease. Instead, it increased. Mo Tianji needed to recover. Knowing that this couldn't go on, Mo Tianji thought for a moment and took out a peak demon wing race Imperial Emperor from her spatial treasure. Under her guidance, the demon wing race Imperial Emperor flew with the spatial treasure while she recovered. After flying for 2 days, Night Sorrow set up the same trap as before. Then, he set up camp and rested while his main body continued to refine. In just one day, Night Sorrow sensed that Imo Tianji was approaching. He hurriedly told Long Jin and Tianyu about the situation. This cunning woman should be the same as us. She let the demon wing race Imperial Emperor fly with her. This way, we can't stay steady even if we want to, said the Golden Dragon. No one was a fool. They immediately guessed. Then we can only keep running and switching between running and stopping. She won't be able to figure out our pattern, said Tianyu. Then I'll have to trouble you too. My refining speed is faster, but according to my estimation, the remaining 2/3 will take half a year, said Night Sorrow. That's nothing. While our main body is cultivating, our doppelgangers will accompany the captain to walk this cunning woman. It's more meaningful, said Long Jin with a smile. Night Sorrow did not turn back to dismantle the teleportation circle, as it might come in handy after making a round. Then, Long Jin carried Night Sorrow and Tianyu and began flying. Night Sorrow, once I catch you, I will drink your blood. Mo Tianji was on the verge of breaking down. She felt as if she was very close to the Sky Wasteland halberd, but she noticed that the Sky Wasteland halberd was moving. GTQ*positive. Version X #_ how many years had it been since Mo Tianji felt like she was about to collapse? What kind of big shot had she not seen before? However, she had never met someone like Night Sorrow who was so good at jumping around. She just couldn't hold him down. Just as she was about to hold him down, he jumped again. Mo Tianji stopped chasing after the battle between Night Sorrow and Gong Zibai. She felt that there was something wrong with her train of thought. If she followed Night Sorrow's train of thought, she would never be able to catch him. Looking at the corpses of the black dragons and flying serpents, Mo Tianji thought of a crucial problem. If she caught up and blocked Night Sorrow, how confident would she be in taking him down? After pondering for a moment, Mo Tianji made a decision. She would cultivate first and increase her cultivation to the Emperor realm. Only then would she be confident in dealing with Night Sorrow. After flying to the other side of the broken sky mountain, Night Sorrow stopped with Long Jin and Tianyu. If she doesn't catch up, we will wait. If she doesn't chase, we will just be running around. Wouldn't that be tiring for us? Then let's set up camp. Captain, be careful and don't get tricked by her. Long Jin said. Long Jin and Tianyu were also wary of Mo Tianji. Not only was this woman powerful, she was also ruthless and determined. Without noticing that Mo Tianji was chasing after him, Night Sorrow cultivated peacefully. The more time passed, the more advantageous it would be for him. No matter if he refined the Sky Desolation battle halberd first or if it was 2 years later, Mo Tianji would fail either way. After 3 months, Night Sorrow had refined 2/3 of the Sky Desolation battle halberd. Mo Tianji is really not coming? Has she given up? Tianyu said while drinking the tea that Night Sorrow brewed. She will never give up because the human sovereign's remains and the Sky Desolation battle halberd are related to the fate of the Celestial Realm and the Sky Desolation battle halberd. In addition, she still wants to deal with me and take back her original body. If she doesn't come now, it won't be a good thing because she might have gone to increase her cultivation. She already has a cultivation realm and what she lacks is energy. When she appears again, it will be a crisis for us. Night Sorrow said. Captain, what you said is too scary. After hearing Night Sorrow's explanation, Long Jin's expression changed. They knew how strong Mo Tianji was now. If she increased her cultivation realm and entered the Emperor realm, the situation would be unimaginable. I'm also thinking about this problem. It's useless to run now. She can sense the Sky Desolation battle halberd and can lock onto us at any time. Now, we can only hope that the void purple light snakes can stop her. Perhaps when she increases her cultivation realm, my spacetime attribute can also increase and reach the peak of the Emperor realm. Then, the gap between us will be smaller. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow chose this place to cultivate for a reason. First, the spacetime intent here was very strong. Second, there were many void purple light snakes not too far away. 3 months. In 3 more months, 13th brother will be able to refine the sky desolation battle halberd. Let's see if we can survive these 3 months. Tianyu said. He knew that this was a great crisis. Time slipped away bit by bit. After 3.5 months, Mo Tianji came out of seclusion. She was a 7-star emperor, which was also the emperor realm. Chapter 1894. While Mo Tianji was chasing, Night Sorrow's avatar, who was cultivating his spear art, suddenly stopped. His aura and his original body, who was meditating, both rose and underwent some changes. 6-star Emperor, Peak Monarch. Cultivating in the area with the densest spacetime aura, Night Sorrow's spacetime attribute had a breakthrough. He entered the 6-star Emperor realm and his cultivation increased by 1 level. Captain, you have advanced. Long Jean said in surprise. Night Sorrow's cultivation speed was indeed fast. Yes, my spacetime attribute has advanced. My speed has increased and my ability to protect myself has increased. Night Sorrow was also very happy. Night Sorrow had advanced. The 3 brothers naturally drank to celebrate. In the middle of the night, while Long Jean and Tianyu were surprised, Night Sorrow looked behind him and said, "That woman is here." After 3.5 months of peace, this woman still came. Ah. Drinking and celebrating won't even let me rest. This is so boring. Tianyu was very unhappy. My cultivation increased at the right time. I originally thought that I could fight her after advancing. However, since she has chased after me, her cultivation must be at the Emperor realm. The difference between us is even greater than before. Night Sorrow said in a low voice. Monarch and Emperor realm was a watershed. Not only in terms of cultivation, but the energy contained in the body was also completely different. Night Sorrow and Mo Tianji's cultivation both increased by 1 level. Mo Tianji's cultivation was still the same, but the energy contained in her body was different. Therefore, Night Sorrow said that the difference was greater than before. 13th brother, let's run then. Tianyu stood up. Night Sorrow nodded. The battle could start at any time. However, in the next 2.5 months, they should focus on refining the Sky Desolate War Halberd. They could not lose the big picture for small gains. Tianyu flew up. Tianyu's divine pagoda stood on his back. Night Sorrow's original body continued refining the Sky Desolate War Halberd at the top of the pagoda. The clone and Long Jean sat upright, thinking about the dangers they might encounter. If he hadn't leveled up, Night Sorrow wouldn't have let Tianyu run away, because it would be very dangerous for him to be caught. If he relied on the purple light snakes near the stronghold just now, there would still be a chance, but it was different now. Night Sorrow admitted that his battle prowess was inferior to Mo Tianji's, but in terms of speed, he was confident. His advancement was in the spacetime attribute, and his comprehension of time and space had increased. It was a great help to his speed. Night Sorrow felt that even the Emperor rank Mo Tianji couldn't beat him in speed. At most, they would be on par. There wasn't much difference in speed. What mattered was the energy consumption. Mo Tianji only had 1 body. Even though it had a lot of energy, it was only about the same as his original body and his doppelganger combined. Under such circumstances, it was important to have good companions. Tianyu and Long Jean were divine beasts that specialized in speed and strength. The imperial emperors under Mo Tianji could not compare to them. While Night Sorrow was analyzing and thinking about the advantages and disadvantages, Mo Tianji felt the Sky Desolate battle halberd move. This time, Mo Tianji didn't curse because she wasn't afraid that Night Sorrow would run away. Mo Tianji took out a peak Imperial Emperor from her spatial artifact and let him carry it. Under her guidance, she started to recover. A #forever free look at what little G said, Mo Tianji wasn't in a hurry. As long as her Imperial Emperors didn't pull away, it would be fine. When the energy in her body recovered, Mo Tianji continued to fly. Her speed was twice as fast as her subordinates. Her plan was to let the imperial emperors fly at full speed to maintain the situation while she chased after them. Mo Tianji's plan was right, but reality wasn't like that. Tianyu and Long Jin weren't peak imperial emperors, but they specialized in speed. Mo Tianji wasn't flying by herself, so she would be left behind. If she flew at full speed, she wouldn't be able to catch up much. Night Sorrow's doppelganger sensed Mo Tianji's situation while his original body was still cultivating. 7 days passed in the chase. How did she know I was close? Is this a premonition of danger? Mo Tianji muttered to herself when she returned to the spatial artifact to recover. She didn't understand Night Sorrow's actions. A while ago, he stopped for 3.5 months. What about now? He didn't stop for 7 days. It was as if he had predicted her actions. Does he have something from my original body? No, if he has something from my original body, he can sense me. Then I can sense it too. But I don't have it now. Mo Tianji thought as she recovered. She denied all the possibilities. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. Night Sorrow had refined the Sky Baron war halberd for 10 months. They had been in the reincarnation space for almost a year. Brother 13, is the refinement going smoothly? Tianyu asked. It's fine. I've started refining the blade of the Sky Baron war halberd. 2 months should be enough. But it's been hard on you and Long Jin. She keeps chasing us, so we can't stop. We can't use the same method as half a year ago. Night Sorrow looked at Long Jin and Tianyu and said. It's nothing. We're just playing with her for 2 more months. Captain, once you refine the Sky Baron war halberd, she won't be able to sense it. She won't be able to chase us. We'll find a place to stay for a few months. Then, we can safely return to the celestial realm. Long Jin said indifferently. In the long life of a cultivator, 2 months was nothing. The distance between them kept shrinking. After all, Mo Tianji was an emperor. When she flew, she could shorten the distance by quite a bit. Tian Mo Tianji caught up. When she saw Night Sorrow's situation, she immediately understood why it was so hard to chase him. It was because the 2 divine beasts were taking turns. Their speed was naturally incomparably fast. Mo Tianji caught up. Night Sorrow didn't notice it at first because the difference between his soul power and Mo Tianji's was not small. However, as the distance kept shrinking, Night Sorrow noticed Mo Tianji. He also knew the reason why Mo Tianji could catch up. She was fast and her subordinates were flying hard to maintain the advantage. When Tianyu needed to be replaced, Night Sorrow put Tianyu and Long Jin into the Clear Sky Pagoda. His doppelganger dragged the Clear Sky Pagoda and then used the Void Step to fly. He wanted to see the difference in speed between him and Mo Tianji. The advancement of the spacetime attribute greatly increased the power of Night Sorrow's Void Step. It was as if he was walking casually. However, every step he took covered a large distance. He wasn't any slower than Mo Tianji with her white hair fluttering in the wind. Damn it. After being surprised by Night Sorrow's speed, Mo Tianji noticed that Night Sorrow's cultivation had increased. She increased her cultivation by 1 level and so did Night Sorrow. The distance between them didn't shrink at all. When Night Sorrow felt that his doppelganger couldn't hold on any longer and needed to recover, it had already been 2 days. He was forcefully holding on. When his body couldn't hold on any longer, Night Sorrow let Tianyu, who was best at speed, carry the Clear Sky Pagoda and his main body. Chapter 1895. Night Sorrow was recovering under the Haotian Pagoda's 50-fold time acceleration. Night Sorrow could recover to his peak state in 4 hours. 4 hours in the Haotian Godly Pagoda was only half a cup of tea's time in the real world. Mo Tianji noticed the appearance of Night Sorrow at his peak state, but she was still a bit away from full recovery. Anger, Mo Tianji was furious. She had seen Night Sorrow's speed and his recovery speed. She understood that it would be very difficult to catch up to Night Sorrow. Moreover, almost a year had passed. Another year would be a foregone conclusion. Night Sorrow, let's talk. Mo Tianji shouted after appearing. Her voice traveled through space for tens of thousands of miles. Night Sorrow naturally heard it. Talk. From the big picture, the celestial realm and Tianhuang are enemies. From a personal point of view, my master died because of you, so there is no room for discussion between us. Night Sorrow's voice also traveled behind him. Can't you be more reasonable? Your master Yen Wushuang touched the god annihilation tribulation herself. After her body was destroyed, she came to Tianhuang to cause trouble. She killed countless experts and trapped me for countless years. Who is whose enemy? Mo Tianji was very angry after hearing Night Sorrow's words because she was the victim. Not only had she been trapped by Yen Wushuang for countless years, her true body had also been taken away by Yi Chang. As for whether she had been touched or not, she wasn't sure. Although she wasn't a man, she knew how tempting her body was to men. What you said makes sense, but I saw it with my own eyes. Because of you, Master Wushuang's soul was completely destroyed. Therefore, I can't let this go. Night Sorrow was taken aback after hearing Mo Tianji's words. According to her, she was indeed the victim. Tell me, what do you want from me to return my true body? Mo Tianji asked. Mo Tianji, I'm the virtuous emperor of the human race. Of course, I'm thinking for the celestial realm. If I let you recover, I'll be helping the evildoers. Let me tell you the truth. Don't talk to me. I don't intend to lie to you, Night Sorrow said. Mo Tianji didn't say anything. Although she was angry, she couldn't scold Night Sorrow even if she wanted to. The chase was still going on, and Night Sorrow's original body continued to refine the infinite wasteland war halberd. In other words, if this stalemate continued, Night Sorrow would have the upper hand. The feeling of helplessness was very strong. Mo Tianji didn't expect to be unable to change the situation even after reaching the emperor rank. She felt that luck wasn't on her side. Night Sorrow's advancement came at the wrong time. Mo Tianji, whether you chase or not, the result will be the same. I won't hide it from you. The emperor's remains and the infinite wasteland war halberd are both in my hands. The future of the infinite wasteland will definitely not be as good as the human race. Just go back where you came from. After Night Sorrow recovered, he stood behind Tianyu and yelled at Mo Tianji who was chasing after him. Survival of the fittest. This is a principle that hasn't changed since ancient times. The devil-winged race has to fight for a reason. From today onwards, I, Mo Tianji, will treat you, Night Sorrow, as a true opponent. Mo Tianji calmed down. Good. Respecting the opponent is the attitude a cultivator should have. Night Sorrow's heart shook. An angry Mo Tianji might be scary, but when she calmed down, she was truly scary. If the early stage emperor rank isn't enough, then I'll reach the middle stage emperor rank before catching you. You can still be carefree for half a year. After chasing around Broken Sky Mountain for half a month, Mo Tianji stopped because it was useless. Night Sorrow's speed was the same as hers. In terms of support strength, Tianyu and Long Jin were faster than her emperors. Mo Tianji made this decision after careful consideration. If there was a problem, she had to think of a way to solve it. Stubbornly resisting wasn't the way to solve the problem. Mo Tianji estimated that if she desperately raised her cultivation by 1 rank, she would need half a year. This meant that she still had close to half a year to deal with Night Sorrow. When Mo Tianji stopped chasing, Night Sorrow let out a breath of relief and continued to fly. After flying half a circle, he found a place with dense void energy. Night Sorrow stopped and set up an illusion array at the new stronghold before setting up a teleportation array for retreat. 13th brother, she gave us half a year. Isn't she worried you'll refine the sky desolate war halberd? Tianyu finished setting up the tent and said. The Sky Desolate War Halberd has been in my hands for 10 months. She thinks I won't be able to refine it. Then again, if she doesn't raise her cultivation, what can she do even if she's worried? Night Sorrow glanced at the main body that was still trying to refine the Sky Desolate War Halberd. This was the truth. If Mo Tianji didn't raise her cultivation, what was the point of worrying? With his doppelganger on guard, Night Sorrow's main body was refining the Sky Desolate War Halberd at full speed. At the same time, he was researching how to raise the void and destruction attributes. Mo Tianji really needed to cultivate. She wanted to use her middle stage emperor rank cultivation to deal with Night Sorrow. In the second month of peace, Night Sorrow's virtuous flames and soul power had been refined to the core region of the Sky Desolate War Halberd. Night Sorrow was very excited. The Sky Desolate War Halberd was very close to being completely refined. As long as the final region of the Sky Desolate War Halberd was refined, the xenogenic aura within the Sky Desolate War Halberd would be gone. What was left was his soul aura. Just as Yishang's heart was filled with joy, an incomparably tyrannical aura that could crush everything appeared. It was a black energy. It should be a soul force of the destruction attribute. Yishang even felt that the attribute of this soul force had already surpassed the tyrannical nature of the destruction attribute. This black soul power left the Sky Desolate War Halberd and charged towards Night Sorrow's divine sea. Origin Pearl protect body. Night Sorrow roared. A purple halo appeared above his head. This was the energy of the 9-region Origin Pearl. At the same time, Night Sorrow activated the light of virtue in his divine sea and mixed it with his soul power. He cast Soul Rhythm, which was the soul defense absolute art he learned in the Sky Desolate Tower. This black soul power charged towards Night Sorrow's divine sea twice. However, it was repelled by Night Sorrow's light of virtue and soul power. Virtuous Flames. Chapter T section. Up. Night Sorrow released his virtuous territory and then activated the Human Emperor's seal. He unleashed the virtuous fire. The area within a radius of several feet around him was instantly filled with golden flames. After the golden flames appeared, they wrapped around this soul power and began to burn it. This soul power was even more tyrannical than the void purple light snake. Night Sorrow's domain suppression effect was not very strong. It circled around Night Sorrow's divine sea and attacked him. Night Sorrow used all of his power to activate the 9-region Origin Pearl's defense. His soul power and light of virtue combined to cast a soul defense absolute art. He blocked the invasion of this soul power. At the same time, the Human Emperor's seal's virtuous flames burned this soul power. You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.